Welcome to the Lost Lowdown podcast 186 with your hosts, Claude and Justin.
What's up, guys?
Hey, we're back, continuing our
Woo!
season 6 commentary series. By continuing, I mean starting with episode 601 LAX parts 1 and 2, the double part, because there's always an arrival with every departure.
That's right.
And here we arrive at the end of the show.
The
So
beginning of the
yeah,
end, if you
the
will.
beginning of the end. And we're basically about 10 years since the show ended. We're recording this commentary series. So the 10-year anniversary of the end of the
Ooh.
show. We're getting back here to season 6. And I remember when the show ended 10 years ago and thinking, at some point we're going to do a retrospective or a commentary series. We're going to go back
Mm-hmm.
through everything. And, how long is that going to take? And, blah, blah, blah. And so the answer is about 10 years. Uh, so I'm happy that we've made it through all the seasons again with our commentary series. Series is how do you pluralize a series?
Maybe you just
Serai.
say series,
Well, that's easy.
you know?
And I want it to be more complicated. And
Some of those, like fish.
fishes,
Oh,
fish
never
eye.
mind. Uh, it's like another thing like that. Like, there's a thing like that. I know there is.
Yeah, we'll come back to it in 10 years. We'll
Okay.
figure it
All
out.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so it's cool to get back to season 6. Now I know like our season 5 commentary series that we did last year. I think the overall, the what am I? Our overall impression was season 5 sucked really bad.
Yeah, it didn't go that well.
Mm-mm,
Yeah, I
mm-mm.
was definitely let down. I will say that I was pleasantly surprised by the actual last episode. I feel like that
Mm-hmm.
one was the best one of season 5, and
Yeah.
I really like I'm trying to separate things. We were talking briefly before the podcast about how a lot of stuff in the show, like you were talking about, I looked into the eye of the island and what I saw was beautiful. That whole thing is like
Yeah.
it's really cool, it's great, like it's well done, but
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the follow-up to it in the
Mm-hmm.
story, it's kind of a letdown. I mean, that's true of like most things in the
It's
show.
like a well baked bread that hasn't been proved enough, and and
Oh, excellent, excellent.
it's like the texture is too closed, and you really want a more open texture, and that's
Mhm.
irregular, and it springs back when you
Yeah,
press it.
yeah, 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 yeah. If you
Uh,
press in and it stays that way,
yeah, yeah, underproved,
underproved, raw,
underproved,
underbaked.
raw.
Come
It's
on.
underbaked. Um, yeah, we've been watching the Great British Baking Show or whatever, Great British Bake Off or something.
Yeah, whatever you prefer to call it.
Yeah.
It goes by
Uh,
many names,
but I
but
think yeah, baking is a great metaphor for Lost because I think season 5
yeah.
was definitely underproved and raw in some places.
Yes, yes, I would definitely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think most of the major plot lines from time traveling, which was like
Mm.
to me the most fun, but like it did feel a bit thin or a bit light or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's almost like they committed too much to time travel, but then they didn't really do very much with it. I don't know. It was
Mm-hmm.
kind of a letdown in the end, but it was a fun ride. So I sort of enjoyed that. But then the Dharma stuff is just it's interminable. I feel like it will never end when that part happens. It's just like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
god. When they get to the Saeed stuff and like he's our
I, I
hero
think
and
I think a
oh
lot of the storytelling mechanics that they had set up before really, with the characters really breaks down. Um with the Dharma stuff when they go to the 70s, but because a lot of the characters can't be their normal selves.
Right.
So
Yeah.
the writing and
Yeah.
the plotting feels very stilted because they just
Yeah.
can't do what they would normally do, and Jack just sits around.
Oh
And it's
God.
interesting as a contrast, right? But that only is
Right.
interesting to a certain degree.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I think my biggest disappointment is that like nothing really interesting happens with Dharma. It's like very like basic kind of conflicts. It's
mhm.
like, will they be discovered? And eventually it's like, oh no, the incident and like Rudzinski and Drill Baby Drill, and it's like, okay, you know like that stuff is fine, but I think the thing about it, so okay, slight tangent but comparison I just want to make. I've been watching Stranger Things season 3,
Okay.
and something I've noticed about the show is that they um they a lot of times they develop these storylines, and uh the way it worked out in season 3 a lot of times is like, a lot of shows have done this, but anyway, just like characters like investigating things where the audience already knows the answer and has known it for
Mm,
multiple episodes.
mhm.
So it's just like you get to see like, oh no, what are they going to find out? And it's like, well, we already know that. I don't know, like it's
Yeah.
just a weird way to write, I think. Like I've seen other shows that do. And anyway, I kind of have that feeling about the incident where we didn't really know, the time travel element. Like there's things that make it interesting, but at the same time we basically know, what the outcome is of the incident because we watched season 2. And so it's just kind of like, I feel like we didn't learn anything new. So, like anything about the cabin or the smoke monster, or
Mhm.
like anything Dharma related or adjacent that we didn't know before. I'm not sure we really learned anything, new about them.
Well, I think we did learn a lot of new things about them. They were just boring and horrible things. Like they didn't know what they were doing,
Oh, okay.
and
Well, anything like new and interesting, I should say.
nothing new and interesting. No, it was
Yeah,
all. I mean,
yeah.
we did get to see the day. What was it like day to day with Dharma?
Right.
How plugged in was
Boring.
yeah? How plugged in was the average Darminian or whatever?
Not at
Like
all.
not at all. Like how did people get their job assignments? Like
Uh,
random assignment or whatever.
Seemingly, yeah.
Just
Seemingly at
whatever we have.
random.
Yeah, whatever we have.
Nepotism.
Yeah, exactly. So we learned a lot that way, but it just wasn't that interesting. And I think that's that's a Lindelof thing. I think a lot of the times is this, and it reminds me sort of a Ridley Scott's themes, where like when you investigate something really really interesting, it's sort of bad. Like don't do that because what you end up finding out is how all the ways in which it's mundane. I think that happens a lot on Lost. Um, when you get more information, it becomes less interesting.
Right.
And I don't know if that's a entropy type of like storytelling entropy or something where like it just has to get less interesting with more details, right? Because if it got more interesting with more details, then you'll never drill down into sort of the fundamental qualities of it because you're like creating new interest, right? So I don't know if
Right.
that's a thing that just has to happen at a certain point, and that's why it happens so many times, right? If you follow me, but
Yeah.
I think that was very clear that anytime Lost investigated something, it would reach a maximum level of interest and then keep there'd be a diminishing returns.
Yeah.
Like the temple, right? In
Oh,
season
yeah.
6, when we get to go to the temple, oh wow, that's interesting. The temple, oh, it's been
Right.
talked about, and Montan
Yeah.
losing his arm and all these things over the
Yeah.
years. But when we get there and we see what's happening there and things like that, like it just gets less interesting the more they
Yeah.
flesh it out.
Yeah. Yeah. They actually made it worse. Um,
Yeah.
Definitely some of my like worst memories from season 6 are related
hmm
to the temple.
hmm
Even though I think the period after the temple period is like actually the worst part of the season in terms of inertia. Like that's the period
Yeah.
when there's like whittling and just like sitting around.
Yeah.
Like at least in the temple era, there's a bit of urgency to the story.
hmm
I like that. The actual stuff about the
You know,
temple, ugh.
I was just thinking you mentioned the whittling, and I was thinking about all the stuff we're going to go through this season with Man in Black as Locke. And one
Yeah.
of the things I was just thinking about, and we did our Watchmen commentary series recently with the HBO show premiering, and I'm thinking about Doctor Manhattan and all this, how he
Hmm.
operates. Imagine if Locke was doing all that whittling, right? And we go, wow, what's he doing? And this is boring and this is blah blah and wasting time. But then at the end in the finale with this fight with Jack, he busts out some like weapon he had whittled, and we realize that he was whittling this thing that he knew he would
Right.
need for his escape or something, right? Like imagine how crazy and interesting that would be to
Yeah.
go, oh, he planned this. He wasn't just, twiddling his thumbs, but
Hmm.
like he was actually planning his escape down to the, crossing his I's and dotting his T's, so to speak, But that didn't happen. So anyway.
Ha! Yeah, if only, if only.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, the other thing I was gonna say is I agree with everything you said, but just in terms of the final episode, and that's a British but. I noticed on the Bake Off that a lot of times when they say but, it really isn't like a contrast. It's just like they could have just said and.
Mm,
Anyway,
I
that's
love
what
that.
that
A
was.
British butt,
Yeah, it's a British
which
but.
is equal to an American and. Yeah.
It's like it's baked beautifully, but the flavor is incredible. Like,
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
a
what?
it's a but for emphasis,
Yeah,
more than
yeah,
like for contrast. Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, but it
hmm
just sounds weird. I don't know. Anyway, just to say, I agree with everything you said, but the end of season 5, that last episode, forgetting about everything that happens after that we're about to watch in season 6,
hmm
because I want to forget, but um I actually really like what we get in that episode. I feel like there's a real. I feel like the show returned to this mysterious mode that they had kind of lost for most of season 5. With like Jacob visiting all of them at various points in their lives, and
hmm hmm
just like showing up, and like we don't really know what he's doing. We see this guy, the Man in Black, and he's got
hmm
this loophole, and like we don't really know what that is, and we don't know like what he even wants or why he wants to kill Jacob. Like there's a lot of open-endedness about what they tell us, but they also tell us a lot of new things. And so I feel like it was well done on that level. Like it
Yeah.
it felt like an interesting mystery show that I would want to watch more of.
hmm
And I felt that way more so than I did. So just it's a weird contrast, because I feel like in general, when we've done these commentaries, I have felt like the finales have been kind of disappointing, like mostly like action oriented. And
Interesting.
obviously, like, there's an action component to the end of the season. Notice my praise of that episode did not mention the incident stuff, because
hmm
that's not really my favorite part. But uh uh in terms of like the mysterious like stuff that we would talk about a lot on the podcast and all that, like that would usually be in the middle of the season somewhere, scattered in various places. um and they might like give a passing reference or introduce something in the finale. But yeah, I liked the tone that they struck with the season 5 finale, and I really feel like in a way that's like the peak of the Jacob Man in Black story. It peaks
hmm
really early.
hmm Yeah.
So like, even though I do totally agree that season 5 is a big letdown, I do think they almost save themselves by introducing a very high level of intrigue at the end. And if they had had a follow through on par with that ending, of season 5, you know, which I with what I was hoping for going into season 6, like, you know, that would have been great. I mean, I would have been super
Mm-hmm.
excited about that. But, you know, like you said, storytelling entropy, the nature of mystery, blah, blah, blah. What's the show about? Blah, blah, blah. At a certain point, like, you're going to lose that intrigue. You're going to lose that mysterious element. And as soon as you specify, I mean, it could be better or worse, but as soon as you specify, you lose something.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's clearly true. I've been disappointed by enough shows now to say that like that is just a pattern.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter what they write. Even if I like the story, there is some kind of letdown involved.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that's what we're going to enter into here. Um and yeah, I'm a little nervous. It's
Yeah.
it's an
Well,
interesting era for the show, definitely.
yeah, that plus I think there's some anxiety or anxiousness with, the Lost Lowdown. This is, our last main thing to podcast about.
Right.
Without us just
Yeah.
completely inventing something up to podcast
Yeah.
about for Lost.
Yeah, that makes me think like, you know, I honestly feel, which it's weird to say because, you know, Lost was a network show, had many flaws, but I really don't think you know, there has been a show like Lost since
Mm-mm.
it was on, you know?
No, there still
Like
hasn't been. No.
there have been shows I've enjoyed, and
Yeah.
you know, like Twin Peaks is like kind of a one-off thing. Like I don't know if that really
Mm-hmm.
counts. I'm talking about multi-year, you
Yeah.
know, big show, big
There has
cast,
not
big
been a new
storylines.
show that has really, I mean, even Leftovers and
Yeah,
Watchmen hit
yeah,
some of the points sometimes,
yeah,
but nothing has really gone as far on the mystery angle because
yeah.
the biggest, I think for Leftovers, the biggest thing was the sudden departure.
Right,
And a lot of it was just very interesting storytelling around what the characters are doing in response, not
right.
really like more mysteries coming up and
Yeah,
things like that where
yeah.
where Lost was. And yeah, like you kind of alluded to before, I saw this clip from White Rabbit the other day. John Locke and I was gonna call him Dan and Jack talking.
Yes.
Remember in White Rabbit when Dan was talking to Locke?
Wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah, we got to go back to and the scene was so good and the actors are so good and the ideas are so interesting, but like it's so much bullshit because they're wrong about what's happening and they don't really get it and there's no way they could get it. And I think so much of the my disappointment with how a lot of the mysteries are resolved, particularly things related to Man in Black, really come down to him, and how he's depicted in five and season 5 and 6,
Yeah,
and I really because he should be this I mean he in a way he's masterminding all of these major plot points, mostly a part of his loophole, but
right.
like by the end of it doesn't quite feel that way, and I feel like that's
Yeah,
that's a lot disappointing. And
yeah.
I think you know it reminds me of like Emperor Palpatine in Star Wars is one of my favorite villains of like all cinema history.
Hmm.
And I think what he was able to do with the Clone Wars era, Order 66, and turning just completely blindsiding all the heroes with his grand plan to start the Empire and all that stuff. Like it's so interesting and cool, and I love smart villains and stuff like that. And Man in Black has a lot of those qualities, where he's just operating on a level way beyond everyone else because they just don't even know what game they're playing or a
Right.
part of. They're pawns, they don't even know
Yeah.
what the rules are. And I'm sad that they weren't able to nail that by the end because it comes down to just this physical battle with him and Jack and I need to
Hmm.
leave and it's this kind of thing
Yeah.
where a real great Man in Black, evil incarnate, somehow wins in the end. You know what I mean? Even if he loses, there's something, even if Jack kills him and whatever on the cliffs and all that stuff. But even if his last words were like, I'm taking you with me, Jack, or something like that, like, yeah, you defeated me, but like you're about to die, dude. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
because of me, not because of like these other things that are happening. And I feel, or something like that, or like, you know what I mean? Just like I kind of wish the character was better, I guess is the way I would sum that up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because so much, he's so integral in like what's happening,
yeah, yeah.
by the end
I,
of it.
yeah, I agree. I don't think they. I think in retrospect, I really feel like the bullshit of the loophole is kind of like the fact that they don't tell us what it is kind of
Hmm.
a catch-all where they could just say like, oh, he found a loophole, and then like it's up to you to make it work. Like
Hmm.
they don't have to actually specify, they don't have to do the loophole episode that I had in mind or whatever. And obviously, I mean, 100% I would agree, just because of the way the show was written, clearly that wasn't the plan from the beginning. I mean,
Hmm.
no, nobody should think that. I'm pretty sure they would acknowledge that like those specifics were not part of the plan from the beginning.
Yeah.
There's going to be some stuff where it's like it doesn't really fit, but I think they didn't even really try. It felt like they were just like, yeah, he had a plan and like he was doing
Hmm.
stuff, and like, why don't you work out like what the plan
Yeah.
was?
Yeah. You tell me what the loophole was.
Yeah. And it's like I feel like that allows them to avoid like disappointment, but but they don't, because they don't tell us anything
Hmm.
in terms of like what he did. And then I agree, it makes the show not feel like it hangs together.
Hmm.
He's just like the bad guy of the season, and you could put him on par with like Kimi, or like
Hmm.
Ben in season 3,
Yeah.
or even Widmore or something, where it's
Yeah.
like, eh, I mean, I mean, they did their thing, but like they were limited.
Hmm.
And what they alluded to with what he could do, his powers, and the time travel manipulation and all that stuff, like dreams, there was, I think, like great potential to have the character come across as like, you know, uh, interesting, frightening,
Hmm.
compelling as an antagonist. Um, and I think by not by refusing to specify, which like would be a letdown in its own way, but it ends up feeling like there's not that much there. Like
Yeah.
it boils down to like he wants to leave but he
Yeah.
can't leave, and it's
They
just
do
like
this.
that's not. Ugh.
They do this thing where they want to humanize him and make him sympathetic as a character, right? But the thing that I think another show or story would have done with a character with those kind of power, because what Lost did was he tried to distance himself in certain ways from those powers. Like
Right, right.
I don't
I
know,
didn't do anything to you.
who sent dreams. Instead of I could see another version of Man in Black where he understands the power that he has is so potent that he actually thinks he's like a god or something, right?
Yeah,
You could actually
yeah.
have his character go, I'm more than human. I've transitioned between life and death. I am, Anubis or whatever,
Hmm.
like I am the god of death, or I am whatever, and like make him sort of a megalomaniac, right? On that level where it's like,
Hmm.
okay, this is why we have to stop him.
Right.
Because this guy thinks because of the powers that he has, he thinks that he's he's a god or something, or he's anointed himself as whatever. And so if he does get off the island, now he's a threat, right?
They
Because of
almost
that.
said that.
They almost said a lot of things. They almost said a lot of, but that's the thing, is like they wanted him to have these powers, but they didn't make him power hungry, in a way. They didn't
Right.
make
Yeah.
him go,
Yeah.
"Wow, I can control people's dreams, and I'm sadistic like this." Like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna really fuck with people. Because you go back to White Rabbit, like,
Telekinesis.
yeah, you go back to like White Rabbit, and it's like, in hindsight, why is he appearing to Jack as Christian Shepherd, right?
Hmm.
Uh, like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
They
Like in
had
the
they had no good answer for that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, just to screw with him, right? But if you say loophole, oh, okay, like he's with the time travel stuff and his loophole, he knows Jack is super important, and now he's trying to conscript him in some way or mess with his mind because he knows that if Jack is unsure of what the island is capable of, and then that'll help him, or maybe he knows that like Jacob, or he should know, right? That Jack is one of the candidates, and so he needs to get him killed, or he needs to make him want to leave the island so that he can't, stop him from trying to leave later. So, there's all these things in hindsight that could have been about, but like, what do we get from the line when Jack's like, "Oh, that was you as my father"? Like, we get like
Hmm.
nothing out of that conversation.
Yeah, it's they baffle me sometimes because in the same breath that I say, um, they hide behind the vagueness of saying,
Mm-hmm.
I found a loophole. Oh, look, you found a loophole. Like whatever that means, let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
Then they take the time pointlessly to say like, what, hey, was that you? Yup. Okay. Like why even bother? Like
Yeah.
it feels like if you're not going to say anything about it, if you're not going to get anything, why even, I don't know. It's just weird to me when with the whispers too, like some of those things where they like specifically decided, no, we're going to address this directly. Like why do it if you don't actually have anything
Mm-hmm.
interesting to say about it? It's just
Especially when
weird.
the audience knows the answer to the at least the
Right.
Christian chat. So it's like we get what
Yeah.
that was about. So why mention it, without making it more interesting than just
Yeah, yeah. I feel like you got to add something to that. And what he says is so weak. It's like, "Oh, I wanted to help you find water." And it's like he's probably lying, and so it's just like it is kind
mm-hmm.
of useless. So like maybe it is still a vague thing, but I feel like why bother addressing it? I don't know. To me, like it was a huge missed opportunity. I mean, we've seen this in other stories. Maybe it's cliche, so maybe they shouldn't have done it. But in my head, I feel like there was a great opportunity that that they used with the Man in Black's powers to appear like dead people. That he could appear as dead people that meant something to the people he wants to like manipulate in various ways. And
Mm-hmm.
he could use the form of that person like kind of against them. He
Mm-hmm.
does that with Yemi and Alex and stuff like that. I felt like there was a huge missed opportunity. Like he never, they have this like one-off line from Alana, like, "Oh, he's stuck that way now," and it's like, so he just never does that. To
Mm-hmm.
me, like the psychological, even if it's not blah blah blah, and it was clear with Locke too. Like even
Yeah.
when they know he's not Locke, the fact that he looks like Locke
Yeah.
has this like effect because of their history with Locke. And I just think it's weird that he appeared to Jack as his father, way early on
Mm-hmm.
for no apparent reason,
Yeah.
and never again. And then the only time he appeared as him again was to other people
To other
who
people.
mostly didn't recognize him. I guess Claire is another example of like using it to manipulate the person.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I always felt like it's weird. I don't know if they wanted to guard the Jack Christian thing for the final scene. Like they felt like they didn't want to corrupt that by having like this evil version of it hanging
Mm-hmm.
over that scene. Of
Well,
course,
would it be
then they
cool?
mentioned the empty coffin, which like it's weird.
Yeah.
Like why recall that in that moment? But uh yeah, I feel like the psychological manipulation was pretty weak in season 6 for how much power he had to do that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
in addition to the dreams and the yeah, and as well as appearing as dead people,
Yeah.
like, and scanning people's memories, like that's like a really powerful tool for,
Mm-hmm.
and like, it or something. Like there's a lot of stories like that where characters have that power and they specifically use it to disturb, to unsettle, to manipulate like people into doing what they want.
Yeah, and the whole thing is like Locke tries to kill himself, but then he stops, and then Ben kills him. Then they get on the Ajira plane, right? And then is it the Ajira plane? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then Locke's body comes back to the island. So now that the Locke's dead body's on the island, Man in Black can appear as Locke, right?
Right.
Okay,
So he says.
so he says,
I
but
mean,
like,
yeah.
why? But he had been appearing as other dead people before
Yeah.
without being locked into their body,
Yeah.
pun not intended. And
Yeah.
so, like, why was he locked in as Locke now?
Right. Well, that's the genius of not saying anything more. He's stuck that way. The end of scene. See you later. Like, there's really no comments about it. There's no reason why that should be true. Yeah, you're totally right.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of examples like that, including
Mm-hmm.
the most obvious one, Christian Shepherd, but also Yemi or Alex or
Yeah.
any number of other forms he took and then didn't get stuck that way forever. Like it's so arbitrary. I guess like I remember at the time thinking like I guess they because Jacob's dead,
Yeah, because
like
Jacob's dead.
somehow like that like why would that have I don't get that at all, but like
Mm-hmm.
just like the pool in the temple being tainted, like they don't really
Yeah.
explain that either. It's just like because Jacob's dead or something. Like
Mm-hmm.
the man in black did it. Who I don't even know. I don't even
Yeah.
know. It's so weird. It's so weird that like he infects Saeed through this temple pool that he's never even been to. Like I just,
Mm-hmm.
it's so
Mm-hmm.
confusing. Like why? Oh, anyway, those are just a few examples of like really, really like I think it's almost like an uncanny valley where they don't tell us enough about it for it to actually be an interesting, coherent storyline,
Mm-hmm.
but they tell us too much to leave it as an interesting mystery because what they tell us doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
So they're stuck, I don't know. In a way, I feel like the loophole thing maybe works better in that way, uh, rather than just saying like, "Oh no, the the temple water is ruined." Like, like what? I
Mm-hmm.
just like I don't know. It's weird when they just pull out these random things. He's stuck that way now, and like when he snaps his fingers and Ben's little leg cuff thing comes off
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. It's just like
Like,
what?
yeah, it's like, you had telekinesis all this time?
Yeah, I know. And like it's no big deal. Like I don't
Yeah.
understand. Like why? I don't know. That's all just really weird to me. Obviously like the notorious stuff like the cabin and the ash is like even more um of a mess because it's basically over at
Mm-hmm.
this point. They barely talk about it. Um yeah, pretty much everything having to do with that character is mangled in some way,
Mm-hmm.
which really doesn't help.
No.
uh but I totally agree that there was great potential there, and I do think that's part of like what maintains the interest. Like if there's any room where they didn't tell us something and you can actually like work out something that kind of makes sense, like that's probably like the best you can do with that character, because most of
I
the things they tell you like ruin
Yeah,
how it
I
works.
also I've said this several times throughout the history of the podcast, but I also wish like him being Locke had some actual effect on him. Like maybe he got horrible as a character because he looks like Locke now.
Hmm.
And he's like, wait, why am I winning
Yeah.
it? Like, wait a minute. Why am I lame? Like, why am I doing more? Oh
Yeah,
no, it's
yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm, like, so, like this whole, like, I've always wanted Locke to have some bright, shining silver lining with his death, and even if it was something
Mhm.
weird like that, where like now that he's in his body and has his memories and he's sort of thinking like Locke, like maybe that makes him worse. Maybe
Mhm.
he's more limited now, and it'd been cool to get a little hint of that.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like they almost hinted in that direction in one scene, the scene when little kid Jacob, for no reason, by the way, appears to him
Yeah.
and says, whatever, you can't leave. And then he says, don't tell me what I can't do.
Yep.
It feels like they're almost saying that
Mm-hmm.
the spirit of Locke is like,
Yeah.
taking over or compelling him in a certain way that is out of his control.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's weird to be,
It's
that's
like
definitely
reverse.
Locke's boat.
What do you call it? When Man in Black takes over your brain. Uh, uh,
Possession.
yeah, the sickness or whatever.
Oh, yeah, 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 the claiming.
The claiming, yeah, it's like
Yeah,
reverse claiming. It's like Locke claims
yeah,
him.
exactly. Yeah, that could have been interesting, actually, if you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
commit to, like, he has to be Locke all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
I do think part of it was just practical, but, like, I don't know. I mean, they had Titus Welliver for several episodes. Obviously, I feel like that should be his default form, if any is,
Mm-hmm.
since that's how he really looked in his
And
original
I
life.
also, yeah, I also think that there should have been more with his internal conflict about looking like Locke.
Yeah,
Like even if he is stuck that way, like maybe some
right.
conflict about the fact that he's upset that he's got to look like
Yeah.
this guy
Yeah, he
forever.
never expresses any frustration with that. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's all just, to me, it was just an excuse. Like, that's what makes that line feel very thin. It's like they don't
Yeah.
have anything to back that up.
Yeah.
Because I agree, yeah, if they want to commit to that, they could actually tell a story there, but they don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just like, here's a line, so you don't ask a question of, like, why doesn't he appear as other people? Why is he always just Locke now?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, here's your answer, like, let's move on. But they don't really want to deal with the consequences or
Yeah.
really try to, like, build some storyline out of that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, that's too bad. Yeah, you're right. It could actually give the real Locke, like, even if it's not literally the real Locke, it's like the almost the spirit of Locke, like a
Mm-hmm.
kind of second chance,
Yeah.
a way to influence the action in season 6 that he doesn't have at all. The way the story stands now, like, he plays no part whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
After he dies, basically, like, that
Yeah.
was it. Everything else is, the Man in Black and, you know other people, obviously, and he's just, like, sitting in the afterlife, and that's pretty much it. uh yeah, speaking of disappointments.
Oh no, so much Flash side. Yeah, so season 6 is the Flash sideways.
That's a
So
big thing. Yeah,
that's
we're gonna have to
huge,
get through all
huge,
that
huge, huge,
stuff.
huge. Oh man. Oh fun.
I do think that they kind of mangled that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, I think in that case, they were trapped by, trying to maintain a certain kind of intrigue and, tension, like story tension. And so they had to, like, ratchet things up in ways that, like, I'm thinking especially of, like, Desmond, like, hitting Locke with the car or whatever, where it
Mm-hmm.
felt like they were just, like, overdoing it, like,
Yeah.
for dramatic effect, when, like, you learn the answer. It's like, why are we doing that? Like,
It was super, like Desmond was just so anxious to get to Penny that he became a madman or
yeah,
something. And
yeah,
he just starts becoming just this plot device where he's just
yeah,
pushing everyone to wake up in this weird way where like which would it might have been more interesting just to see these people in their Flash Sideways world deal with their problems
yeah,
and come to their own conclusion about it. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Instead of this weird like I'm gonna force everybody
Hmm.
and yeah, and it just
Yeah,
it ruins
yeah.
Desmond's character, you
It
know.
does. It does. Yeah, yeah. It was there were already problems, but I think that it does, like, double down on those problems and make them worse in a way. I do think
Especially since
like
Desmond doesn't care about any of these
well,
people.
that's the problem. That is exactly the problem. I feel like it makes no sense that he's
Mm-hmm.
there with them at the end. Like
Yeah.
it's like what you know, like
Mm-hmm.
this isn't your group.
It's
Obviously,
not
this
your
is and
group.
especially Penny should be there. She
He
barely
should
knows those
be
people.
he should be there with Kelvin.
Yes, yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
a
maybe
weird
like
thing.
Dan could be in his group. You know, I feel like they
Mm.
had more of a connection in a way
Right.
because
Yeah.
they had that like time travel, constant like
Mm-hmm.
interaction multiple times.
Yeah.
But
They're both related to Widmore.
they are both related to Widmore. That's a good point. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think there's a case there that you know, maybe, but you know, Dan isn't included in the group. So it does seem very questionable. I think in general the portrayal of Desmond is kind of a mess. I mean, we talked about that
Yeah.
before. Like he
Yeah,
just
it
comes
is a
off
mess.
very selfish, and it'd be one thing if they made a point of that.
Yep.
You know, he cares about Penny to all, you know, to the point of like fuck
Mm-hmm.
everybody else. If they made a point of that,
But they make it a virtue because love
exactly, they
is
portray it like it's
great,
a
and
good thing.
so
Like we
yeah.
should admire that. I don't know, it's just
Mm-hmm.
a bit much. Like especially when the point is the bond between the characters. Like it's
Yeah.
like does he actually care? Cuz like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not convinced that he does. And
I don't think he knows most of their names.
I know. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I think that was definitely the one of the most bungled things. I think it would have been better definitely if it had happened more organically that they
Mm-hmm.
because clearly that's what's supposed to happen, right? Because it
Imagine,
ends up being arbitrary that like
ima-
Widmore does this test and
yeah.
then Desmond
So
gets
that's the
like
thing. Widmore has no idea what he's doing.
fuck no he
Like we're
doesn't.
just like Jacob just didactically tells him what he needs to do. But
Hmm.
imagine an inverse, right? Imagine if somehow Widmore knows about the Flash sideways, and or has some inkling that if he shocks Desmond, this will disrupt whatever on the island, and therefore somehow ultimately give him control, right? And then imagine if Desmond has to sacrifice himself for the greater good by getting shocked in with electromagnetism, right?
Hmm.
And when he goes to the Flash sideways, he's waking people up to save them from Widmore like erasing the that world or something, right? And there's like a ticking clock, right? And I know this completely changes their view of the afterlife. This is a completely different story.
Right.
But like the idea
Yeah.
that like Widmore is or man or maybe that's the thing. Man in Black knows about the Flash sideways, right? Because he's
Hmm.
connected to life and death and everything in between.
Right.
And he appeared to Widmore as Jacob, right? Because Jacob's dead
Hmm.
now,
Right.
and convinced Widmore to do this thing. And so his plan, right, is to stop the Losties from having their afterlife or something like
Whoa.
that. And so, so that's why he wants Widmore to shock Desmond to go to the Flash sideways, right?
Hmm.
But imagine if Desmond is there, he's got to wake them up because if they don't wake up and transition in the church before the afterlife gets erased, like the Langoliers or something,
Hmm.
like, Stephen King, it would have worked,
Yeah.
then they'll be dead or something, or they'll never get an afterlife, or
Right.
they'll never get to the next. So he's doing the exact same like plot sort of things, but the reason he's doing it is different,
Right.
right? He's doing it to save their souls, their everlasting souls, right?
Hmm.
Instead of just to get to Penny faster,
Right.
right? And I
Yeah,
think that would
yeah,
have been so much more
yeah.
interesting if they could have engineered it that way. And then you still get Man in Black being the ultimate villain, still give him one last chance at like, using his powers to control people and manipulate people. Like that would have been a nice little thing. And it's like this whole thing where yeah, they have to get through the church and get and move on because the afterlife that they built together because of all their drama on the island is actually coming to an end because Man in Black found some way to destroy that bubble of
Hmm.
existence. Like that would have been fucking crazy and interesting. you
Yeah.
know, and have this like ticking clock thing that they want, right? Which is why Desmond is rushing,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
was
They want the
artificial.
urgency. Yeah.
They want the urgency, but there was no actual
Yeah.
ticking clock,
There really wasn't. No. No, it
you
was just
know.
arbitrary. Like Desmond wants to go now, so I
Yeah,
guess we all got to go now.
exactly. You tie it to Man in Black on the Island. But you know, he's
Right.
done something with the cork and the what is it, the light cave,
The light and yeah.
and he's gonna take the light with him if he leaves the island because he's connected to that too, right?
Right.
So this is
Yeah.
why he can't leave, and maybe that's the ultimate reason why he can't leave is because he's tied to the light now, and if he leaves, you know, the light gets uncorked forever and it can never be recorked, and that is what's powering the afterlife. So if he leaves so that's your ticking clock. Once he leaves the island, their reality where they existing disappears and they no longer exist in their afterlife, like
Hmm.
anywhere. So now the ticking clock is in the island time frame, stop him from leaving, and in the afterlife time frame wake up everybody and get them through the church doors before he leaves, you know, before he tries to leave on the island. Like those are your two sort of storylines there, and like that would have been a cool thing to see and actually make it work. And this idea that like we have to wake up and move on, we can't just live in this reality forever. Yeah, everyone else gets to, right? Everyone who's not on the island or not a candidate or whatever, like, you know, they can have their
Hmm.
idea that this is what everyone's afterlife is like, where you can just live in a flash sideways and live in your reality until you figure out your problems forever because time has
Hmm.
no meaning here, right? But for these guys specifically, no, their reality bubble, it's like the Crusher episode Next Generation, right? Where it's like she's in this reality bubble where everyone's disappearing and she's the
Oh,
only one left,
right.
and if she doesn't
Yeah.
escape before the bubble closes, she'll die too, you know. So it's like that. Just do that. Come on. Well, how's that hard?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I like that idea. Definitely like gives that storyline more of a point and also like more of a connection to the main plot line. Like I think something that they get away with by like first of all like hinting that the Flash Sideways might have something to do with the incident, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Jughead
Mm-hmm.
blowing up thing. And then second of all
Oh, that's
by
right. They're trying to convince us that they did reset the time.
yeah,
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 gotcha.
that's the game they're playing, and then, you know, Desmond actually visits there, and they're really selling it as some kind of alternate time and, you know, the island underwater, you know, that whole thing. Like, they're really selling it as, like, an alternative timeline,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think, um, that suggests that there is a connection between, you know, what happened on the island and what we're seeing in the afterlife. But once they get to the reveal, it really becomes no, actually, they die and that's
Mm-hmm.
it. Like if they died on the island, then I guess that's a connection with the island. But really, like what happened in the end of season 6 has virtually nothing to do with what happens in the Flash Sideways,
Yeah.
which is like kind of a letdown. But it's the kind
Yep.
of thing where they take so long to get there that it's almost like Locke's death in a way, where it's like by the time you learn the answer, like you didn't really get the chance to realize that they wasted your time. Wait a minute. You
Hey,
just put me
wait,
through a
what?
whole season of bullshit.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like, oh, you're trying to sell like a touching moment, and now I'm just gonna forget about like what you did. I don't know.
yeah,
It's like that's a game they're trying to play, and
yeah.
I do kind of wish that they hadn't. It's
Mm-hmm.
you know, I get why they want to make it a mystery and they want to go with misdirection, and you know, but I think I don't know if it's really worth the cost of
Mm-hmm.
the huge letdown when you reveal it has nothing to do with any of that.
Yeah.
Like to me, I guess I would rather either just be ambiguous about how it started. Like you don't have to have the whole Dan we're the variable speech. You know, you don't have
Mm-hmm.
to set that up to imply that that's what's happening. You can let us think that maybe that's what's happened, but if you don't say it in the show, it's a little different.
Yeah.
you know. If you want to preserve the question, and then how long before they figure out it's the afterlife, and how long before they figure out that they have to save their own afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That is definitely a different show, and one that I think potentially holds a bit more interest, like dramatically, than what it turns into, which is just like this guy's a bad guy and we need to kill him because he's bad.
Because he's bad for some
Like
reason.
there really
And like
isn't.
most of why he's bad, they have no clue, right? His
Right?
long history is thousands of years on the island. Like they have no clue.
No.
They're not even. So it's like this weird asymmetry with the good guys and bad guys by the end.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate that most stories are not like that.
Yeah, he knows like everything about them and they know like
Mm-hmm.
nothing about him
Mm-hmm.
really.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's a mess. And I yeah. Well, in on a related note, like one of my other like really big frustrations with season 6 is that there never is an explicit justification for why he can't just leave.
Yeah.
And there's like implications, but like they never really spell it out. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's kind of frustrating because then you're left wondering, it did it even matter? And that's not good.
That's the
That's
worst
just
question you can have at the end of a story.
yeah. I just feel like with your idea of like he wants power, he's gonna like manipulate the afterlife. Like there's like explicit things he wants to do,
Mm-hmm.
whereas in the show he never expresses a desire to do anything but
Nope.
leave.
I
That's
just want
it.
to go home.
He never says he wants to go like kill everyone, claim
Mm-hmm.
everyone, destroy the afterlife, whatever you
Yeah.
want to say. He never says he wants to do any of that. And
Yeah.
it's just like you're just assuming that because he's quote unquote bad, you have to stop him because these other people say like he'll be bad off the island. But it's like he's been trapped there for a couple thousand years. Like,
Mm-hmm.
cut him some slack. I mean, if we're gonna give like, Michael a pass or whatever, which I'm totally fine with, but like, have a little understanding
Mm-hmm.
of like circumstances make you how you are. If you people don't know that,
And it's also strange that the way he's leaving is just like on a boat. He's trying to get on a
yeah,
boat, and it's
he's
like,
trying to get on a boat.
didn't he have access to boats in 2,000 years? Like he never was able to go on a
Well,
boat
yeah, but
before.
like Jacob would stop him somehow.
Well, that's the thing. Like, oh, the time barrier. Like, I can't cross the
Yeah,
barrier physically, or
yeah.
something. Another thing that would have been cool, right? Is if there was a final reveal that Man in Black was responsible for some of the candidates coming to the island.
Oh
He's like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
uh, uh, I knew my brother would be looking out for the broken ones to prove our game of who's inherently good or bad or whatever. But Jack, I'm the one who broke you. You know what I mean? Like I'm the one who made sure your dad never stopped drinking. You know what I mean? Or whatever it
Oh my
is.
god.
Like that kind of
Oh my
thing. Where it's like,
god.
yeah, I found his lighthouse. I know who he was looking at. You know what I mean? I made
Yeah.
sure that Kate was born to run, or whatever. Like that would have been
Wow.
cool and tie in his villainy to these actual people who are trying to stop him instead of it being like, well, 2,000 years ago, Mother told Jacob, Man of Black can't leave. And so that's really what all this is about.
He's just really stuck on that idea.
Yeah.
He
And maybe
won't
she
let it
was
go.
wrong. Come on.
I know. We have no reason. I mean, it's like, yeah, I like it's okay if you're not going to like explicitly scientifically confirm
Mm-hmm.
X, Y, or Z thing about like what's gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think at the very least they could present us with like a compelling argument that's supported by something. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I feel like there's a
Yep.
line between like
Yeah.
telling us everything and just at least giving us like a reason to believe it might be true.
Well, I know that there was like island quakes in the finale because of the cork and stuff,
Right.
but they could have used that mechanic. The closer he gets to the boat, the island is now shaking because he's, this
Mhm.
like, uh, the what do you call it? Like, uh, how do I want to describe it? Like the probability that as the probability increases that he does succeed, we get to see these physical manifestations of the world being destroyed as he gets closer. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Mhm.
oh no, he's close to the boat, and he's getting close to the boat, and now the island's shaking more. That it becomes a likelihood that he escapes, right? Like some little hint,
Yeah.
right? That like here's what will happen, and oh no, if he crosses the barrier, then the island will implode, right? And
Mhm.
and then if he gets to out to the mainland and in the real world, then whatever will happen, right? Like, yeah, there could have been ways where they could have proved that, and that's what's weird to me. That's the biggest question when I asked Damon and Carlton is just like, why were you so adamant about not proving this point and leaving it in this nebulous, well, maybe it's true and maybe it's not true, but when you do that with a villain, like, again, go back to Palpatine, right?
Mhm.
It's like, I don't know, maybe like him conquering the Force would be bad. I don't know. Like, maybe if all the Jedi's are bad, were dead, is that a bad thing? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
Like, no, it is bad. If Palpatine has all the power, it's bad for everybody. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
He is evil incarnate in that world.
Right.
And I
Right.
think you need that definity to is that a word?
It should be definitude. I don't know. Anyway, whatever the word is
Definiteness.
for definiteness. Yeah.
Yeah. You need that to make the motivation strong and the audience's, ability to care about what happens to the plot strong. You need that. You
Right.
can't have it be wishy-washy and be like, maybe it's good or maybe it's bad, or
Mhm.
it should be, no, this is the
Yeah.
worst thing that can happen. We're trying to stop the worst thing that can happen,
Right.
which is
Right.
usually the plot of most big, fantasy type things.
Sure. Yeah. 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 I mean, yeah. So I was thinking about comparing it to Watchmen, and I think
Mhm.
like
There you
okay,
go. What's the worst thing that can happen in that world? A bad person getting Dr. Manhattan's powers.
right, exactly, exactly. Perfect. So like I think
Spoiler.
I think it what it has in common with Lost is that we don't know for sure what, like I think with the 7th Cavalry, the white supremacists, blah blah blah, like it's like, okay, I'm perfectly willing to accept that if they got Dr. Manhattan powers, they would do bad things.
Yep.
I feel like we have enough evidence for that.
Yep.
But for Lady True, I do think they are a bit more ambiguous about what would she do if she had Dr. Manhattan power. She claimed to want to do altruistic things. You could believe
Mm-hmm.
what uh, Ozymandias says, that she's a
Yeah.
egomaniac or whatever, and she just wants like power for its own sake, or you could believe. But either way, the key thing that is different from Lost is like you were saying earlier, they could have done with Man in Black. She wants the power.
Yeah.
She's trying to take the power.
And they actually make that clear, right? That even if you say, well, what will she do, good or bad? They make it clear that the overall theme is anyone who wants the power shouldn't have it.
Yeah,
So that's sort of
exactly.
where you start.
Exactly. And that's like, to me that's enough. Like I
Mm-hmm.
I don't need it to be totally definitive, but
Mm-hmm.
if Man in Black wanted, the power of whatever you want to say, um it's, you don't have to then definitively say, what he would do with it, but just that like
Mm-hmm.
relentless pursuit of power is questionable already.
Yeah.
And they don't really say anything. We don't even get that, you know what I mean? It doesn't even get to that point,
Mm-hmm.
you know. If Lady True was like, I just want to like leave Earth, and everyone was like, no, like it's like, what, like why
Yeah,
not?
I want Dr. Manhattan's power so I can just leave Earth. It's like, well,
Yeah,
why? Who cares? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah,
just
if Man in
like,
Black was, I want, you know what, you guys trapped me on this island for 2,000 years. Well, I'm gonna trap your souls in the afterlife, and I'll prevent every human being on Earth from ever transitioning from, from afterlife A to afterlife B, right? And like I'll have dominion over the Flash sideways. Like that's an incredible power. That's an
Yeah.
incredibly scary power.
Yeah, definitely.
That the and it's just a crazy concept, right? Like he can have his own universe basically where everyone is destined to go to and no one can ever leave without his say so. Like that's the thing you want to stop,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that's not
Yeah.
this show.
No, not at all.
I
Not
want to
at
go
all.
home, and that's what's weird is it makes him really extra sympathetic because yeah, he is a victim in a way in terms of
Yeah.
his origin story,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so
He
you're
didn't
like,
ask to wash up on that island. He
no,
didn't ask to be raised by a crazy person who was
mm-hmm,
somehow like involved with like protecting the power of this like mysterious island.
yeah,
He did ask to leave and he was just told that he could not. Why
mm-hmm.
was he told that he could not? Because she didn't want him to leave,
But then
because she wanted people to replace him.
they conflate the when he before he's Man in Black, before he's the smoke monster. They conflate you can't leave because I'm just your mother and I don't want you to.
Right.
With after he's a smoke monster, you can't leave because well now you're a smoke monster, so
Right.
maybe that's why you can't leave
It's a
because
different
you're
reason
tied to the
now.
light cave and you've got the
Yeah.
darkness with you,
Yeah.
or the whatever you're gonna uncork the cork or something if you
Yeah.
leave or um and again you can go back to my example of a better ending where if he leaves the island in his state then there's no afterlife for anybody. Maybe that's a simpler version of it, right? Is he's
Yeah.
tied to the cork and the cork's tied to the after creating the afterlife, or maybe getting people from earth to the afterlife when they die or whatever, right? And so if he leaves that connection is now gone. So now if you die you're just stuck as a ghost on earth versus going to the afterlife and getting the transition
Hmm.
and become your better self and transition out of it. Like that's cool. I'd buy that. I'd buy that as a
Yeah.
reason he can't leave.
I
You
guess with the
know.
Michael thing, they almost had that idea ready to
Mm.
go
Mm-hmm.
of like there's some people who can't get to the afterlife, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like that are just stuck being ghosts on the island, like whispering, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Like everyone will be like that if he leaves.
yeah, it's like they almost had the groundwork for that story, but they
Mm-hmm.
ended up throwing it away.
Oh man, one day we'll rewrite this show and it'll be great. We'll go episode by episode. That'll be our next project for Lost Lowdown.
Yeah, yeah, I like that idea. I like that idea. I do. I like. Okay, here's a question. Here's a
Mm-hmm.
question. So I feel like Lost is a show where, like, I have. So it's like a chicken and egg question. Like, Lost is a show where I have spent more time thinking about it and deconstructing its faults and thinking
Mm-hmm.
about possible other avenues, thinking about what might have been or what they were thinking about at various moments, blah blah blah. And it's
Mm-hmm.
felt like it supports that more than other shows do. But is it just that I did it, or is it that it's just that like I was doing this podcast and like that's what makes it feel that way. And other
No,
shows like I watch them once and I move on, or is it really like
I
there's
think it's
something?
80% that it's because of what Lost is, and 20%
Yeah,
because you did it. I think there's
yeah,
way more room because it's a mystery show, because there's a lot of unanswered questions, because there's a lot of things they set up and drop, and like half ideas that they could have connected but didn't, right? Which is most of what we talk about in the podcast.
yeah,
I think that's my instinct. Is it other shows don't have that. Other shows are like, well, this is what happened, and maybe this could have happened, or maybe that could have happened. But if you think about like Watchmen, right? I don't think we could do the same thing with the
no,
Watchmen. I think
no,
things kind of happen in a more
definitely
narrow
not.
context.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. There were some unanswered questions, but it was definitely like much
mm-hmm.
more like coherent overall what the
Yeah,
point of the show was
yeah,
and hitting certain story beats. And part of that is clearly that they had the ability to like plan the season, tell the whole story. There it
mm-hmm.
is. and Lost wasn't
You
written
know,
that way.
I'll throw this in there. I guess a thumbs up. So Lost has a group of people who have an ideology, right? The others and
Hmm.
Dharma and both
Yeah,
groups have no idea what they're doing.
yeah, yeah.
And on Leftovers, we have the Guilty Remnant, which also
Right.
we find out doesn't have a
Yep.
strong ideology by the end of it.
Nope.
But I gotta say, the Seventh Cavalry, they know what they're signing up for, and they know what they want.
True. They were on board. They were
Every
kind of like crappy, but they
Yeah, they were crappy,
definitely
but like
cared.
they were all aligned with the goal of white
Yeah.
supremacy, and it
They were
all
just
made
like, what
sense
are we
from
doing
the top
here?
down. Every member knew. No one's like, I think I should follow this guy. They're like, nope, I know why I'm following this guy. We all
Right.
get it.
Right.
So I just thought I'd throw that out there. But all right, I
Yeah,
think
that's true.
our intro to this episode has been like an hour and a half now,
Oh, I
something,
see.
or something like that. So
Do we
this is a
actually
two.
like watch it?
Yeah, this is a 2-hour episode, so we should
Right.
probably get into the actual. But there's a lot to talk about. Season 6. It's end of an
Yeah,
era.
exactly.
It's an end of an era, and we really only scratched the surface. We talked about like 4 characters.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, there's a
so
lot more going on than that.
yeah,
But hopefully, whatever else there is, we can pick up along the way. Commentaries are in future episodes. We have plenty of time to
yeah.
hopefully regurgitate everything
Mm-hmm.
or pre-gurgitate or whatever. Anyway, gurgitate. Can you gurgitate?
Gurgitate is not a thing we want to say ever again. Do you want to plug anything before we get going?
Oh God, yes. Wow, I'm so glad you said that. I do. So I don't know, for those of you listening, there's this website out there. It's called YouTube.
What
And
tube?
YouTube. It's
MeTube. Oh, metub.com.
no, like
Oh,
you would say MeTube to me because to
so
you,
hey,
I'm
Justin, you
me.
should go to MeTube.
No, 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 no.
Oh,
No, 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 no. Like you're talking to me, but if you're
hmm
talking to me, you would call me you,
oh, okay. So you
right?
should go to YourTube, YourTube.com.
No, no.
Whose tube is it?
This is the hardest plug ever. Oh my god.
Which tube is on first? Is my question.
Okay, so Lost Lowdown channel. There's a YouTube channel.
Hmm.
We've been slowly uploading video versions of the old podcast. It's up to expose in season 3 right now. So you can check those out if you want to hear
Can you
some of the
give us
old
the
stuff.
URL letter by
Um,
letter?
oh God, are you serious?
I'm joking because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so we have, wait for it, 19 subscribers. Okay, so
Thank
that's
you.
cool. I appreciate every one of those 19, but I wouldn't mind having a few more. And as an incentive, I don't know if this is an incentive for you, but it's an incentive for me. If we get up to 100, we actually can have a URL that's cool, like YouTube/Lost Lowdown or something like that. Don't
Hmm.
go there because it's not a thing right now, but eventually we could have that. If we get enough subscribers, we
I
have to do
just
that
I
first.
just subscribed, so now we're at the 20.
Yes.
I wasn't subscribed before.
Nice. Actually, I don't think I'm subscribed either. I should go subscribe.
Yeah.
Subscribe to
21.
my own YouTube channel. It makes sense. Okay. And also, we're on Twitter. We post updates about the podcast and also, our other podcasts like Mr. Podcast and stuff. If we do
Yep.
other episodes, those are on there. It's just at the Lost Lowdown on Twitter. So check us out. We have a presence, and I don't know how much we mentioned that on the actual podcast. So
Never. Yep.
here's the chance to see how much reach this has. So yeah, check out the YouTube channel. Watch some videos if you want. Eventually, I'm hoping that we can actually make some original videos for the YouTube channel.
Yep.
That's my goal. But for now, it's kind of serving as a second archive of the podcast, just to make sure we don't lose,
Hmm.
all that work. Um, that we put in. So
Yep, if the world ends, YouTube will still be standing.
exactly.
You can also go to tllld.net for our forum, where
Oh
everyone on the
yeah.
internet is talking. It's the hub of the internet. I'm sure you've heard of it. But we do
Indeed.
check it from time to time if you want
Yeah.
to, there's a lot of old posts from back in the day over our podcast and lost episodes. A lot of cool discussion there, but we do check it. So if you want to talk to us there about anything, especially feedback on our commentary series, which is great,
Yeah.
we always love to hear back. Shout out to Vince, who's always there to
Oh yeah.
comment and let us know how things are going.
Review all the commentaries. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, check that out. If you want to register, just it requires authentication because we had like a giant spam attack. So I check it periodically. I can approve you. So anyway, if there's a little delay, just so you know, that's the reason why it doesn't just auto add you. We had like
Mm-hmm.
an insane amount of spam for a while there, and so I just had to like clamp down on the security measures a little bit.
Yeah, also shout out to Dan, aka Stallion, who's been a pretty frequent commenter on the
Oh yeah,
forum
yeah, yeah,
last year, so we appreciate that too.
yeah, yeah,
I love
yeah.
reading names on a podcast. I hope everyone feels special.
So do I.
Yeah,
Actually, I want
we
to
don't even charge
mention.
for it.
I want to mention Anonymous from our comment section who said can't wait for season 6
Oh,
back in
anonymous,
October.
anonymous, always there since the beginning.
Yeah, I have no idea who that was, but someone said that, and it
Yeah,
wasn't me. So
no, it might have been me, but it wasn't.
here we are. I can't confirm or deny that it was you, but it was somebody who wasn't me.
All right. Well, that went as planned because there wasn't a plan. And you ready to
Exactly.
go to the episode?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, everybody, get your players ready if you're going to sync up with us. All right, here we go with LAX parts 1 and 2.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. It's countdown for your players to sync up if you're going to sync up with your players for this countdown. A little palindrome for you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Previously on Lost. Previously on Lost, a big statue showed up. I hate that line. What a
Here's my
cut.
choice.
What a
Asshole.
cut. Yeah, they're coming. I don't know why he said that. That's your great last words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know
That's
why.
the other thing about when we talk about Man in Black not being as good a villain as he could have been. Jacob didn't care about anything, and he's just like, "Oh, you're gonna kill me now? Fine.
Yeah.
Throw me in the fire."
Whatever. I'm done. I'm checked out.
Meanwhile, God, can you imagine how crazy these people are? They're about to set off a nuke so that time changes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. If like they weren't your protagonists, like they could easily be like the bad guys in a different
Yeah.
show. Because this is crazy.
This is insane. She just fell down a well
Yep.
next to a nuke, and then she's not dead, so she's gonna smash it with
Yeah.
a rock.
Yeah.
America's like, yeah, blow up, come on. Like, how are we rooting for it to blow up?
I know, it's weird.
Because we realize that's the best for their horrible world is for it to restart.
Yeah.
And then we cut to White.
Yeah, they're heavily implying here.
Yeah, I remember watching this for the first time when it premiered and just being like, "Oh my god, what's gonna happen the last evening of Lost? Is it?" Yeah. And then they do this.
Yeah.
It's not fair. It's not fair. I just had a dream I was on an island,
Oh God.
and you were there, and you were there.
Cindy.
Yeah, Man in Black is Witch of the Witch of was it Witch of the West or East? I forget.
West, the bad one.
The bad one, the bad direction.
I guess the one in the east isn't wicked.
No, she's the good witch. Yeah, Cindy's gonna have some other secrets from you later.
Yeah, this is before Cindy got crappy.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna get to see her more this season.
Yep. Because I've never told him that. Desmond forgot to press the button, guys.
Or did he? Where
Or
is
did
Desmond?
he? Yeah.
I don't understand what even happened here. I guess like one question you could have about this is when did it start? Like, did it start right here?
The flash sideways?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Or does it
remember
start for
thinking,
each one of them at a
I
different
think
moment?
I think it's like the compass. There's no sort of beginning in a way where
Mm-hmm.
it's just this temporal loop. But I
Right.
think you're right that that's the moment, the most discrete moment you can say where the difference starts. So
Right.
yeah, I think that's effectively the beginning for
Yeah.
Jack at least.
Yeah.
Which begs the question why it started there. Besides, it's great for the audience.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's part of it.
Like,
Definitely like
is this it too? Like them being happy now. Is
yeah.
that unreal?
I think that's yeah. I think that's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of shows when they end, they like to reach back to where they started and
Yeah, it feels
it's a
natural.
very explicit pilot reference. Oh yeah, this whole like weird mirror thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's never explained. And this bullshit. This is some bullshit right here.
Yeah, what would he cut his neck shaving or something? What was
No,
this?
it's the man in black. He stabs him with the knife.
Oh, and why is this here?
Yeah, that's why I call it bullshit.
So it's almost like
Oh,
Jack
there he is.
died. It's almost like Jack dies on the island, his eyes close, and then he
Mm-hmm.
wakes up here,
Yeah,
and
I think
that's why
that's
he's
what we're
got
supposed to believe.
that's why he's got the little thing on his neck, because that's
Yeah,
he's got this lingering memory of how he died or something.
I guess so. Yeah.
Have you ever been running in a stadium? I've been places.
Oh no.
But again, it goes back to why is he suspicious of anything besides it's playing to the audience, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
just naturally I don't understand.
Yeah.
I remember this music was the worst choice ever. Like going down to Fraggle Rock now. It's just like, what is this? That jangly thing is not good. This is not the right music for like this tone. This is like, you know, some like wacky dark weird show. I don't know, just such a weird
Yeah.
tone. This whole thing,
Yeah.
and then a Dharma. And then it's like, yeah, what is this? Is this like a Jim Henson production or like
Yeah. I do
yeah, I
think
don't
the
know.
CGI is a bit of a letdown, but
Yeah.
also agree that the musical choice doesn't really convey what they
Dum,
wanted
dum, dum,
to.
dum, 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 dum. It's like what? What is that? It's like
Yeah.
never before. And maybe that's, I don't know, maybe they're like, this is the inverse of what we would normally do.
Right, right. Yeah. I guess I think given that there's like no follow-up to that and there's no real point that like I guess I'm okay that they didn't try to like make it more mysterious
Mm-hmm.
just in terms of the outcome, but I do think the moment is not very effective for that reason.
Yeah.
All right, so we're just like gonna replay this
Yeah, I
apparently.
remember Juliet dies like 20 times before
Yeah,
we're
I
done
get
with
like
her.
we just saw this in previously on. Now they're
Yep.
gonna play it again.
Yep.
And then like I remember one thing about this that really threw me was how she's not even dead.
Yeah, that's the thing. We get to we
After
get to go,
all that.
oh, after all that, she's not dead. But then
Which is like, okay, but I did feel like almost like they were exploiting it too much
yeah,
or
we
something.
talked about
Like,
that a lot in the original run,
yeah,
but
like,
this Kate in a tree!
oh God, of course. Randomly.
It's so great. It's like, why are you in a tree, Kate?
Because that's my thing. I climb trees. I don't know.
And
The island knew. It's like my
then we were getting this weird
superpower.
sound thing.
What is that sound? Oh, it's because, oh, right. It's
Yeah,
like the explosion, like,
yeah, yeah,
made their
exactly.
hearing weird. It's like after a loud, like, concert or something.
Mm-hmm.
Can't hear
They've
anymore.
got tinnitus. It's also nighttime instead of daytime like before.
Mhm. Well, 30 years later,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, I guess. They wanted this in the nighttime for whatever reason.
I think it helps make the trends. I think we talked about this before, where it helps let them know like time is really past, right?
Yeah, good point.
That
Yeah.
something big happened.
Yeah, it's a visual like cue.
Mm-hmm. Is this the arrow? What is this? Oh,
What is it?
Swan, I guess.
But that imploded. Is that door really still there?
Oh, you're right. That
I,
shouldn't be there. Yeah, maybe
oh, it is
it
that.
is there. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. I assume that door would have been like destroyed, but
Mm-mm.
okay. Apparently not. Yeah, so here's the clearer
Yeah,
communication.
there we go.
I love how they're
Oh,
just like arrayed like
yeah.
right there.
Why was why was Kate and Miles blown so far away?
Because reasons.
Is Jack supposed to be like sunburned, like from the Flash or something, or
Or does he just look like that? Or is the color grading bad? Like, yeah, I don't know.
they had to build it because of what you guys did to try to stop them from building it? I
Right.
think that's the story.
Yeah.
They
Remember that thing
always
Miles
they
said
had
that
to
you all
build it
ignored?
because they always built it.
Yeah, so they have to
Yeah,
have conflict.
but also, yeah, I'll try to refrain from saying I remember saying this before, but this whole thing of like, yeah, that's huge. It's huge that the bomb made them time travel,
Yeah.
but they just blow past that because it didn't reset everything, which
It
is what
wasn't
they
what they
were.
specifically were trying to
Yeah.
do. Yeah, I wonder if he's been like using a tanning bed or what's going on there.
I,
So
I,
strange. I don't remember him being like
yeah, he just
so
looks a lot
bronzed.
redder.
He doesn't really look that way in this scene.
No, I think
So
it's supposed to be his injury makeup or
I guess
something.
so, yeah. Oh God, the Marshall.
Yeah.
Forgot that they bring the Marshall bag.
Marshals don't eat on duty.
Eat it with your hands.
He's like, if I ever talk to her again, I'm gonna call her Freckles.
Oh God,
Oh
ours.
no. Yeah, when's that tropical storm coming, Ernst? So he still won the lottery and he bought
Yeah.
Mr. Clucks. But wait, what? But the like meteor didn't hit it?
Oh, the numbers. Yeah, don't ask about that.
Oh, because in this he has good luck with numbers. What?
Yeah, I think maybe they say that.
Gotcha.
Here it is.
There we go.
Yeah, so then this becomes the game of like what's different.
Yeah, that's right. We play the what's different game.
Some things are same, but
Some things are different.
exactly.
Well, there it is.
Oh, they acknowledged it.
You know, if I were to like try to play armchair physicist, I would say there's an interesting connection between turning the donkey wheel, moving the island and moving through time,
Yep.
and then the explosion, right?
Yep. Yep.
Going in
Yep.
that
Yep.
well.
It's
It's almost
island timey-wiminess, I think.
yeah, it's almost like moving the wheel. You know, unleashes power,
Yeah,
which powers the time travel.
exactly. Yeah.
So
I
they
think that's
basically, I'm
what's
saying they could have
true.
just turned the wheel in some sort of way, and maybe
Yeah.
this would have also just gotten the same result.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
didn't know about it.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Because Locke did that. They never knew about it.
hmm
Locke and Ben.
So the incident had to happen because Locke moved the island, or
Um,
Ben moved the island.
I guess so, in a
Like,
roundabout way.
like if you want to sum it up, like that's the reason, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That
So
makes
Ben would have
sense.
never moved the island. The incident should have never happened to happen, although it had already happened.
Yeah. Causation is weird when you have
hmm
time travel.
Oh, Saeed, it's gonna be
Oh
so
no.
long before you're dead.
Oh God.
Interesting.
Sneaky hint.
Sneaky hint. Yeah, they do start him on this, but I feel like he was talking about this before, right? Like it's this like regret he has about his life. I felt
I
like
feel like
something.
he's kind of been on that track since the end of the being a hitman for Ben days of like regretting what he did.
Oh, you're right.
It's just
You're
that they
right.
kind of
I was thinking
intermittently address it.
I was thinking of the torture stuff, but you're right. The more recent killings, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He said murdered, so I feel like that's part of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
But you're right that the torture thing is kind of in the past.
Is Vincent in the bushes?
God.
It's your friendly neighborhood Jacob. Because I don't. I'm about to vanish. Interesting. I mean, listen, if you love the show and you like the characters and you made it till season 6, this is all very intriguing.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. They've set up a lot of things already.
And that's what's cool is it's giving the audience, this playground to wonder like, oh, what's happening? And
Yeah.
I know about this thing and this thing and this calls back to that thing and that was a
Right.
moment, right? And like all these little
Yeah.
things.
Oh boy.
I also think, we saw that the dichotomy between what we're experiencing here, which seems like their plan did work, and then what we see on the island where their plan didn't work.
Hmm.
And we're like, how do we reconcile those?
Yeah. That was one of the major questions for the whole season.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. In this reality, is he not in love with his sister?
I don't know. I'm not sure they ever tell us. They don't end up together for what it's
Mm-hmm.
worth. Oh, he went on his
Yeah.
Outback, or
So
is he
this is the
lying?
Locke. This is the Locke who had a good relationship with his dad or something, or like he never got put in a wheelchair.
I think he's still in the wheelchair. Or he's not in the wheelchair? I
I
think he's
don't
in the wheelchair.
remember. I don't remember honestly. I have 2 working legs of my own. Yeah, this is a callback to their relationship
Definitely.
before.
Yep.
Yeah.
Classic season 1 thing. See, that cut. Ugh, so
Mm-hmm.
annoying. They
I'm
keep
upset.
doing that.
Yeah.
It's like, no, no, no.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to link that. Like, cut to him off of somebody else. Still, it's just.
But they want to give us that contrast.
I know, but oh god,
And
Ben.
action.
That pose. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Like like your arms, man. What are you doing?
What? Easy to be beaten when you never fight.
The beginning of Bewildered Ben.
Yeah. Yeah.
No idea what's going on anymore. It started last season,
Back
but
up, Bram.
oh, you know. Oh wow, he referenced the cabin. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he doesn't say anything about it, but Oh, their hierarchy is all over the place. They don't know what to do. Oh
Why is he
boy.
lying?
Oh, okay. Right. That's a bad lie. He didn't know about this. Were you bewildered before?
Wow.
Oh man, they're totally gonna like dig up the like exercise bike, right?
Oh, that's right.
Doesn't that? Oh,
Is that the
is that the
washing machine?
dishwasher
Dishwasher, yeah.
or the washing machine or something like that?
If only you had some sort of explosion.
It's so confusing, like that they set off a bomb, but that's not what did this. It kind of reminds me of the
Yeah.
barracks, like Kimi attacks it, but then it's that way, like in the past,
Mm-hmm.
or what should
It's
I? What
it's
did I
it's
need to
yeah.
say?
Your brain wants to say an explosion made the stuff collapse on her, but she's
Yeah,
down there because she fell down a well, and
exactly.
then there was an explosion that made her time travel underneath some rubble that's already there from an implosion before.
That
Yeah.
happened before. Yeah, exactly. Like that's just so weird and kind of clunky.
Mm-hmm.
Answering questions is like not my thing.
I wonder if like they're thinking that the explosion from Jughead like put all of this extra energy into the pocket that was there, and then they had to build the swan on top so that the explosion didn't happen, and then the failsafe was sort of counteracting that
I think that's basically true.
implode.
Yeah, that sounds right to me, more
Yeah, I
or
never
less.
thought about the actual energy from Jughead actually being there, like
Right.
in some sort of state.
Oh, you know about that, huh? You were watching the whole time, not doing anything. Okay, cool.
We're gonna need some jams.
Do you remember him from the car?
I guess he never did. He never say his name in the car.
He might not have said his name in the car, but I
Yeah,
thought he might recognize him. Maybe he
yeah,
does recognize him. Oh, he
yeah.
just mentioned the guitar, so he definitely recognizes him.
And then we go, oh, is he only seeing Jacob because Jacob's dead and he sees dead people?
Yes, they said that. That's what Jacob said.
Oh, he
You
said
can
that. I
only
missed
see
that
me
part.
because I died, and Jin wouldn't be able to see me.
Oh, that's right. It's like Jacob. I thought you didn't get involved.
I know he makes his own rules.
Yeah, the
Oh,
music's got that tone to it. I don't know.
she's probably just resting.
She's probably distracting. She did have a nuclear explosion in her face. That's fair.
Hey, she went along with the plan. You went along with the
Yeah.
plan. Deal
Yeah.
with your own decisions, man. You were gonna stop him, and then you decided not to. So get over
Yeah,
it.
he's
No
complicit too in
offense.
believing the plan would work, right? I mean,
100% he is. Yes. This is
Oh
my special
man.
skill.
Yeah. So Charlie still has a drug habit. Is that what's
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah, they do say that.
Right? Because the point shouldn't be that their life is better because they just have because they still have to learn some lesson,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah, it's like sometimes it's better, sometimes it's the same. It's a bit, yeah. It's a bit
It's
random
bespoke.
seemingly. Yeah, yeah, bespoke.
It's custom to each character.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like it's based on like who the character was in their life,
Mhm.
like what they get.
Is it drugs?
Kate stole the pen.
Kate stole a pen.
Yeah.
Brown sugar.
What?
Or a cake he's making later.
A really tiny cake.
A cupcake.
One cupcake.
One terrific cupcake. Very 60s music. Very like something with the horns are really standing out to me.
Okay, now I'm expecting. There we go.
There it is.
I knew it would be in there somewhere.
I think there's like a
Oh,
discrepancy, right, between how much of the wreckage they of the Swan Station they show here versus they had before, right? Is there like
yeah.
way more stuff here than
Yeah.
on?
I think they even showed the bike somewhere else at a certain point, if I
Uh-huh.
remember right, like back in season 3. But yeah, you know, continuity. What are you gonna do? Hey, what's up? I'm still here.
Hmm.
It's
So I
fine.
guess like she had to join Gun to the Future as well, but the reason she's not just dead, like, because it's kind of like didn't why didn't the bomb affect her at all?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the explosion zapped her out of there before it could do any
Hmm.
damage, I guess.
But it did kind of work because you're in the future. Oh,
Yeah,
'cause
I
he
guess
looked
they
at
don't
her
even
that one
know that she hit the
time.
bomb.
He looked at her that one time.
So that's one reason to have her here. Like they wouldn't even know what happened down there
Yeah.
if
Well, I was just gonna say the choices were she shows back up to the present dead, or she shows back up alive, and it's more
yeah,
dramatic alive. So,
yeah, yeah.
hmm.
Uh-oh.
Wonder if there's a temple we could take him to. Now, how does he know about this?
Jacob.
Oh, can't fix anything. I'm Jack Shepard. So Jacob tells him to take Saeed to the temple, but Jacob doesn't know that the temple's not going to work right.
That you make a great point. I remember wondering about that in season 6 because he specifically intervenes to get them to take Saeed there, and it's like, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
Is he just wrong? Did he want Saeed to be claimed? Like, I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
Is his loophole over? Like he hasn't seen more in the future, right? Than this moment, right?
I think not. Yeah.
Okay.
Some guy, I don't know.
Oh, this is interesting. They say he can't look like anyone else, but he can be the smoke monster.
Yeah, he can still do that, which is like, I feel like that is because they didn't want to give up on the smoke monster.
Yeah.
Like, that's too fundamental to his powers.
Not really. He burned up. Good news.
Why is that good news? Oh, that's the good news.
Yeah. You can go. You can go home, which is something.
See you later. Right. This is when we learn that bullets do nothing.
Yeah. Get him, Bram.
Which, like, Jacob should have told him.
Yeah.
But, you know, whatever.
They should be special bullets. Like, they just...
I mean, he ends up having the ash, which is, that's the most, like, prepared he is.
Yeah, you're right.
But, like, these guns are totally inadequate.
But I almost feel like Jacob didn't tell him about the ash. They just
I know.
some other way.
They just, like, yeah, oh God. They read, like, a book in the library or something.
Yeah.
Magic ash and its many uses.
Wow. Crank.
There were people who were still not sure that Locke was a smoke monster after this scene.
Well, they do a thing where it comes in from another room, so it feels really weird.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, that's so cool. It's cool to get this answer.
It's too bad they have no follow-up for this. Because I feel like what happens here is a hint about like how he can get around the ash, but he doesn't end up doing that at the temple.
Yeah.
It ends up like being centered around Dogen for no apparent reason. And it's just like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree, like that scene alone was an interesting answer, and I'm glad they did that. But it's what happens after where they really let me down. It's almost like they wanted the ash thing to end there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, here's your answer. Here's what the ash is. It's almost like they shouldn't have said that there was ash around the temple. Like that would have simplified.
There's always ash. Yeah, ash around the temple, ash around Jacob's cabin, but it's not really Jacob's cabin, so there shouldn't have been ash around it. But
oh, don't even. Oh God, yeah.
Gulp.
Yeah. I mean, he even basically states that was me.
Yeah.
It's like, what more do you want? Because the show will never show him transforming, no matter how much you want to see it.
A guy who can do that should be way more megalomaniac.
I agree. Megalomaniacal?
That's it, I think. You got it. Megalomaniacal.
It's a horrible word.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Too many sounds.
Don't worry, you'll die soon.
Uh-oh.
So what is this? Her crossing over?
This is like, yeah, this is like flashes from the afterlife that's like, yeah,
Yeah.
somehow influencing. They never really define this, but it's something like that. It's, I guess it's similar to Jack's like neck scar.
Mm-hmm.
You got it, Blondie. That's the line that writes itself.
mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
I don't understand anything about what's going on, and please don't misinterpret what I'm gonna say. Oh, oh, so she didn't even say it. Like they have to like bring Miles in or something to find out
That's what it is.
what she
Yeah.
was gonna say. Which I think actually makes it better. It's almost like she didn't get the chance to actually say it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
So you could imagine that maybe she would have said something else, and it's just like Miles confused, like reading her brain, like picking
Yeah.
up stuff, and like he's just wrong about what she would have said. I can believe that if I want. The show will let me have it your way. Uh-oh.
We were minding our own business. Your world does not affect us.
That's kind of our thing.
Yeah. I think we talked about that, right? Like it's tough to know, are these the real versions of these people, or
Hmm.
is this all centered around Jack and they are
Right.
each in their own version doing their own thing? So this is so in Jack's world, Hurley's the guy who's always lucky, but like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
I mean,
But
I
I guess it's
think
supposed to all
like
be one.
by having different character centric episodes, they imply that it's happening to the other characters too. But
Yeah.
I agree that it's pretty Jack centric.
Yeah.
Oh, Nadia, I don't actually want to be with you.
It's so weird. Ugh, it's so weird. So this is the watch. What does that mean? That means he took the job. Wait, what was the watch about?
He's supposed to like deliver that watch. That was
Oh,
the
that's
original
right.
thing.
But they're supposed to stay. They're supposed to not go back home or
Yeah,
something.
they're gonna like, yeah. Her son was gonna run away. That was the original plan.
Oh, that's right.
Jin was just gonna be like left confused, I guess.
All right. Well, none of the show that we ever saw happened,
All right,
and
cool. The
we just
plane
get plane
landed.
lands. I hope the
No
baggage claim is
problem.
quick.
Yeah, standing a long time in a baggage claim is the worst.
Nobody likes it.
What are you supposed to do? You don't know what's happening. You know what they need to have is like live updates. Like the plane's been unloaded, like the bags
Ah,
are like here.
yeah.
I feel like they have enough technology to do that now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like if you order delivery and you like track the car, it's just
They should
like
have a
nice to
baggage
know.
tracker. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because otherwise you're just sitting there like, I guess it's
Waiting for it to
coming.
turn on. Yep.
Yeah. It's like that was fine in the 80s, but like let's move on.
Thanks for nothing, mate.
Yeah. You really you should have just let me die
Hmm. Oh, you think the cops are there for
again.
Kate, but then the cops are there for him.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, I think Kate is still with the marshal,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
she stole a pin.
yeah.
And I guess like she's gonna like use the pin to escape. Is that what happens?
I think so.
She's gonna like pick her handcuffs with the
Classic Kate.
pin.
Oh, here we go. Okay, so he is in a wheelchair. So he was just
Yeah,
lying.
yeah.
Was that what it was? He was lying
That
on
was
the
the question.
walkabout.
Like, was he lying about the walkabout, or did the walkabout man say, "Oh, sure, you can go. We'll accommodate your wheelchair"? You know, I feel like it's ambiguous.
I think it's ambiguous, but I think I side on he couldn't have gone in the wheelchair, and so he's just lying.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's definitely the more likely possibility. But I'm just holding it out, since Hurley's like lucky in this timeline, maybe, you know,
So even in his afterlife,
or
Locke
afterlife.
doesn't
Yeah.
think highly enough of himself to walk. He's just highly enough
Yep.
where the guy says, "Yeah, you can come in your wheelchair."
Like he's still not, I think he's not over things, which is like part of the problem with his character. Like he
Yeah.
died
I
not actually dealing with anything, like, and some characters like made more progress, I think.
Yeah, I do think I think he's lying because, part of his original character before the walkabout was that fantasy world that he
Oh
had.
man, that face
With the,
says he's lying.
yeah.
That face was like
Back to
not.
reality, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
that was my fantasy, but
Hmm.
this is the way it really
Yeah, I remember he
is.
had the whole thing with he's the general and all that stuff, and so
Yeah,
I think
yeah. I think you're
he's used
right.
to
I
telling
think you're
stories
right.
like
I
that.
forgot that they went back to Sadlock.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, oh.
He's always said like it's a guitar case. See, not that literal. Okay.
It's weird because Hurley doesn't actually know. He
Hmm.
just knows that it isn't a guitar.
Yeah. I don't need you to leave a trail.
I
Like, I'm
do
the
feel
floor. I
like
lead.
Sawyer and Miles should have a bond where they should like move on from the afterlife together after
I
their
agree
like
with
3
that.
years working as partners. Like it's
Yeah,
just weird
I
to
think
me.
that gets underchanged,
Yeah.
shortchanged, or whatever. Another evil look. Yeah, yeah, Miles. He spent more time with Miles than anybody else
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, definitely more than all those other people. I mean,
combined.
yeah.
Jack Shepard. That's me.
Uh-oh.
Hmm.
Maybe by the end of the season? That's the ticking clock of the Flash Sideways.
Gotcha.
Where's Christian Shepherd's coffin? We're given no reason to think that that matters that much, but
Mm-hmm.
that is sort of how they mark time. Oh right, they end up just like going under because like Jin knows like that's where they went before, but it isn't really the temple. This is a whole thing.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
And they find these like skeletons down there, and then it gets really confusing about what happened with the French team. It's like,
Yep.
uh I thought he claimed them, but apparently they were dead, so maybe it wasn't even them. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what to
It was
think
the one time
anymore.
Locke was multiple people, or I mean, Men in
Yeah,
Black was multiple
yeah.
people. Like,
He appeared as a team, like,
yeah.
okay. But then like
So
Rousseau
that's
supposedly
Montan.
killed them, so that's confusing. Yeah. Was there one missing an arm?
Looked like him.
Yeah. I think they show it. I mean, they're dead here. Like maybe, I don't know.
Who brings a booger
There
to
it
a
is.
cave?
Missing arm.
Librarians. Like bear librarians.
Wow. Wow.
It's a stretch.
Nice. Yeah, so like Montan calling up like shouldn't have been him. It's
Uh-huh.
weird. It's really weird. Like what the fuck happened? Anyway, we're not going to find out, so Oh, is that the place where Ben fell in and
I
like
think that's.
had the
I was just thinking
encounter?
that if that's supposed to
Yeah.
be it. Yeah, that begs the question: what does it look like when Ben and Locke go to the temple? How do they? Do they come in here too?
I think they come in here too.
Okay, this is just the way in. Okay,
Yeah.
this is the other way in.
I mean, it's a way in. Yeah, I don't know if it's. Oh boy, I this is this choice here. I find very frustrating. It's like you're gonna tell us the answer to the whispers. It has nothing to do with the others, and yet
Mm-hmm.
you have the whispers show up right before the others do. It's like
Yeah,
okay. I
but they
remember
show
at
up
the
to
time.
warn. They show up to warn.
Yeah, I know. I know that's the bullshit they want us to believe, but I remember when they did this, I was like, definitive proof, the whispers of the others.
Ha!
Thanks, Lost.
Yeah, correlation does not equal causation.
Clearly not. Yeah, it's that post hoc ergo propter hoc thing. It's like, beware, beware, the others are
Mm-hmm.
coming.
But why are they warning against the others?
I don't even know.
Yeah.
It really shouldn't be that bad. But
Yeah.
then they are about to be like, let's just kill them all. The others are fucking great. Gotta love them.
Yeah.
It's like if they didn't have this Ankh thing, like they just would have killed them all. That's what they have us believe.
Ugh. Nice. Temple time.
Temple, let's get Temple.
Let's get temple with it. Yeah, you're right. Where they were wasn't this temple, it was something else.
Yeah, yeah. It's like some kind of underground pre-Temple
Pre-temple,
thing.
yeah. Pre-temporal complex.
Yeah, it's like they built the temple on top of that or something. I think they got a little confused about the temple, but it's got a lot of
Yeah.
parts.
It's all in the Temple County, but not Temple City.
Exactly.
Edward? Please. Edward?
Edward.
That was a weird choice. $2 minutes.
Just enough time
Yep.
to use my stolen pen.
But what would happen if she had to use the restroom also? Like, she wouldn't have time to do both.
It's true. But I guess
Like,
if she escapes, she can escape somewhere to pee.
you're always thinking 2 steps ahead.
It's, Tinkle, tinkle, tinkle. Uh-oh.
Wait a minute.
What the fuck?
Women don't need a spring to pee.
Or do they? I've always wondered. Okay, Edward.
Yeah. Ouch. The gun. Oh, no time to get the key?
What's the play? Oh, she's just gonna like, okay.
Hey, always believe women.
Oh God, I was just thinking that. Like,
Hey,
ugh.
hey. You just gotta do it.
It's like in the moment, I get why she would say
Mhm.
that, but
Freckles.
it's like believe them unless they're fugitives. Uh-oh.
It's my jewelry.
Better hide your handcuffs, Freckles.
Hide your handcuffs. There's a story coming out. That's an escape Kate. I remember saying this before, but I always thought that was weird because he just made her more prominent in their eyes instead of like they would have just gotten off the elevator and never even seen her on there.
Right.
But it was just this weird thing, and then she thanks him like he saved her, but it was just like, yeah, it didn't quite work out logistically.
Yeah, I guess it was like he was trying to give her an exit from the elevator, but it did draw attention to her. So yeah, it's a mixed bag.
Oh, we get this thing where we think he asked them to come out here because they're friends, and it's also like, but also,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're not friends.
You're not going to be in my afterlife.
Yeah. Get closer.
Put your face in there.
You're like an antenna, I know. I got 3 bars of death talking.
Sorry, that took me a second.
Yeah.
3 bars of dead talking.
Yeah, he's at 4 bars.
He did put his face down.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. That line definitely builds the intrigue about the Flash Sideways. I think that's another thing they get out of having Juliet still alive.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a red herring, but you know.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
I came to watch.
I thought you left.
It is a weird thing, right? Like if they were about to kill them all, why didn't Jacob just show up and tell
Yeah.
Hurley, "Hey, tell him he's
It's
always playing
obscure for
loose."
no apparent reason.
Hmm.
Onk?
So what happened? Like Jacob went and bought a guitar case, and then he went to an antique shop and
I
bought
got an
a wooden
onk,
onk and put
and
it
he
in
put
there
a
and then gave it
message
to
in the
Hurley.
onk. Yeah. It's really just an elaborate way to bring a
So
note.
that's all it
Like, he
would.
could have just given him the paper, but,
Mm-hmm.
I guess for security, I don't know.
Hugo Hurley Reyes. We're the candidates.
Well, the paperwork's in order.
This
guess you can
is
stay.
notarized, Jacobized. Shoot him. Shoot him twice. What's that paper say?
Oh yeah. I remember being so confused by that.
Now I'm
Like
confused
the
all over
papers
again.
about Saeed? Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that it's like there's a lot of focus on Saeed, and then it's like, but it goes horribly wrong. Like, is that really like what are you doing?
You know what? It's almost close to saying that Man in Black had this connection that made him become like the smoke monster when he died because of all his evilness of killing
Mm-hmm.
people throughout the years. And now that Saeed has that same quality, that if he dies, he's gonna also maybe become a smoke monster or get tied to that.
Oh.
They're very close to saying that in a
Yeah,
way.
you're right. Yeah, because like there's still more candidates. Like, why does it matter that I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like beyond just the fact of someone dying, like why does it matter that much if Saeed dies? Like, it's not
Yeah, there's
clear.
something about his darkness and dying that Jacob is trying to prevent. And the only other person with darkness that died that was bad was Man in
Yeah.
Black.
Yeah,
So
you're right about that. That's interesting. Huh?
I am robot.
I don't even remember if that's true or not. Or
I
he's
don't
just
think it's true.
lying because of the circumstance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my impression. Yeah.
She did suddenly seem like a Westworld robot or something. It's weird.
And then they're surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. Why didn't
They hadn't even
Jacob
seen
like
this.
plan for this? No, it like just happened apparently.
Yeah.
There's the what? Like,
Yeah.
okay.
We'll do it anyway? Like, I just don't
Yeah,
get it.
yeah,
And then if Jacob is trying to stop Saeed from doing, he like has the total opposite effect.
yeah,
Besides keeping him alive.
yeah. And then there's the extra complication that it doesn't seem like the water actually saves him. It seems like he dies and then he's brought back by something else. Eventually,
Oh,
he
you're
credits the Man in
right.
Black with bringing him back, and I don't know if we're supposed to believe that or not.
There we go. Okay, so he's testing it.
Yeah,
He's such a tester.
yeah, and I think it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And he's just like, well, fuck it. I don't know. Roger Linus? Like, seriously? Don't worry, you he was killed in the purge.
Yeah, you're right. They screw it up. It's not even the water. The water did nothing.
Yeah, he just ends up lying there for hours and it's like, did the water like provide an entry point? Maybe for the Man of Black, he's connected to the tainted water. There's
I would
just so
expect
much.
Dogen's hand to get worse or something. Like it would
Yeah,
be interesting if it was a small cut and then it became a big cut or something.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean they're not gonna get that intricate. But yeah,
yeah.
it's
Seemed like it didn't really do anything,
well
but
he
like,
he has wounds and bleeding, so the water has to at least heal that, right?
um,
I mean, even though he still dies, but like he doesn't come back alive and he's still bleeding.
yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah,
They said this will have risk, and Jack didn't ask what risks.
no, he's just like, okay. And it's like, are you supposed to like hold them under while it seems like they're drowning? Is this how this usually
This is
works?
this is seems like it's killing him.
Yeah, yeah, and I think they do kill him, like
So
technically.
so is this supposed to be why Ben is bad because they killed him as a
I
kid to
think there's
save
a vague
him?
insinuation that that's true. Yeah, but uh, what's the deal with the hourglass?
There's some amount of time.
You like have to hold them under like until the hourglass. I guess we're gonna see here, but it seems like he's dead before the
Hmm.
time's up. So like,
Is it everyone will die within that time frame, or it takes this long for it to work,
yeah,
or
that's what's not clear to me. Like, if it hasn't worked by now, it never will, or it always takes that long,
because what if
or
he had taken a deep breath before he went in? Then he
right?
would have.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this whole thing is like so unnecessarily confusing.
Yeah,
Like there's at least, I'm gonna say at least 3 or 4 different levels that I don't
yeah,
understand about what's going on here.
completely agree. It goes from zero to incomprehensible very fast.
Yeah, yeah. And like the note was all about this. Like,
Hmm.
what? What?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
But we didn't want him to be dead, or did you? Which one is it? You say it like it's bad, but then you killed him.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't have to hold him underwater, or did you? Like,
Yeah.
say something. Like, what is going on?
Hmm. Can you imagine if they just stood there and watched them kill Saeed? Just because like someone they don't know wrote something on a piece of paper?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit much. Oh no, not this scene again.
Hmm.
It worked last time.
And then it's like, is this help or not?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, could that have like? But I do think he lies there for like a couple hours. I think they say that.
Oh, is it that long?
I think they say that. We'll
I thought he
see.
comes back pretty quickly here.
I mean, in terms of the episode, it is pretty quick, but
Yeah. You know, this whole time I've been waiting for a break between the episodes.
mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
there isn't one. And so I'm
there's
like,
no
wow, this is
break.
a long first part.
Yeah, yeah, it's real long. Wow, so brazen.
Mm.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yep.
She just steal the code.
She's a code breaker.
Damn it.
Nice. So close.
Freedom.
Mm-hmm. Why do I have a jacket when I'm wearing a jacket? Don't ask.
Uh-oh. Oh God, of course. Fucking Frogurt.
She could just like walk away.
Mm-hmm.
It's not cinematic enough. The Tustin inventory report. Is that the box
Uh-oh.
company?
Yep. You're totally right. Yep.
Lock Spot Company, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember they revealed that at some point. Uh-oh.
I'm trying to save you. I'm trying to get your baby back. One of the two. Hmm. They have nothing to do.
No, they really have nothing to do. This is a general problem with this season.
They're like, they have zero goals.
Oh God.
You might remember them from the plane. I don't use my teddy bear anymore. Hmm.
Put him in the water.
Yeah, put him in the water.
Why not?
Kill him real quick. To Dogen's temple. Because he doesn't have any clue. Save him.
Oh, really? Why not? Okay. So?
Oh man, that's bad news.
But yeah, they don't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that's another key point. Like the fact that Jacob shows up to Hurley and says that he's dead, like
Mm-mm.
otherwise they wouldn't know.
They wouldn't have any clue.
It would be a long time before they would know from the other group.
Yeah.
Put
So they
down your
pouring
bags.
sand. Oh,
Oh
okay.
no, pick up your bags.
They didn't all. Oh, so the ash that's around the temple's already been broken. So this is a new line they're building,
I guess
right? Is that the
so.
idea?
Yeah.
An extra line just in case.
Oh, the old rocket that means Jacob's dead thing.
Celebrating! Yay! Oh no, probably not.
Yay!
I guess that's an alarm.
I guess so. Yeah.
Oh, 4 more
Yeah.
seconds. We could have known what he said.
I know. I know. I love your perspective because a bunch of you are just going to be following him soon. So,
Huh?
who do you think he is exactly?
About who? And sometimes a where.
Yeah, huh?
Well, I could have killed him myself. Maybe. I don't know.
Uh-oh.
Oh, God. I don't.
Yeah. No one needs to know this.
Oh. Kick him when he's dead.
I know.
But see, that's what his last words should have been as Man in Black.
Yeah.
Like, I had all 2,000-year loophole plan. I don't understand how I went wrong. Like, that would have been cool. But you want to leave.
Why do you admire that?
Well, because it was so pitiful. See, that's what's weird. It should be like he wants to leave the island so he can make the rest of the world like the island or something. Like, that's what they
Yeah.
want. So why do you admire someone who had the exact
Yeah.
opposite of your goal?
That doesn't make any sense. I feel like it's yeah. They try to say because he realized that he was broken, that his life was shitty, and but it's like, yeah, I don't quite get.
Mhm.
It's a clunky point.
They should have said Locke's life was so pitiful he realized that the island was his home. And so I admire him because he wanted to stay in the place that was his home. And I want the same thing.
Right? Yeah, yeah. That would have
That's a
made
little
it
more symmetric.
more logical. Yeah.
What did he say?
He said
Saeed?
nothing. Like, I
Yeah.
guess he's not getting anything from Saeed.
Who are you? Forgotten your face
I
again.
don't recognize those curls.
They're really inconsistent as characters.
Yeah, they don't know what they're doing. They were going to kill us.
But there's a piece of paper on it.
And it was about saving Saeed, which they didn't do, but
Mm-hmm.
I guess we're fine. I don't know.
Hmm. Ever heard of a coffin?
That's not really what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all of these allusions to the afterlife, I feel like were
Yeah.
screaming in our faces, and I just
Yeah.
really didn't notice. I feel like that thing from Watchmen where you were like, that thing about like Dr. Manhattan can't look like other people, and you're like, oh, that's a thing. Like, I feel like I should have
Yeah.
zeroed in on that because it's
There's
been mentioned multiple times.
there's too much going on though to really make it. I mean, yeah, I think you're
Yeah,
right in hindsight for sure, but that's what Man in Black said. Wait, huh? Nothing, Jack?
nothing. As long as you have insurance.
Yeah, if I'm in your network.
I'm probably
Otherwise,
not.
the copay's huge.
No, it's like, is it implied you're gonna pay for it, or how's this gonna work?
I'm sure the box company lock works at has great health
I'm
insurance.
sure. Yeah, I don't know. Oh boy. Oh, it's day now.
It's Island Independence Day. So fireworks.
Oh man, they're just sitting around confused too. That's
Yeah,
like the name of the game this episode.
yeah.
Hey everybody.
So that must mean Jacob's dead,
Yeah,
right? That's the Jacob's dead flare,
I would assume.
or Man in Black is on the loose flare.
Yeah.
Don't shoot him, cause something. What?
What?
Oh,
I still
yikes!
know my patented throat chop
The throat throttle.
with a knee to the face. That's one of my
Classic.
powers. Oh, I remember this. So
Yeah.
weird. Why?
This is the lock thing again. You
Do
know, this
tell.
is this is like, oh, just the public pronouncement made me think of when we all know it.
Yeah, you're
We're
right.
not alone here.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's disappointing them for following Jacob, I guess, or
Yeah, I
something. Or
guess. I don't even know. It's weird. That's a weird note to end on.
yeah,
Like, I feel like that called for something more than that. Yeah, that's, yeah, that seems inadequate.
mm-hmm. Hmm.
We'll never know.
We'll just no one finds out.
I love that we can answer that now.
Wow.
There is no answer.
You'd think the big question at the end of the first episode of a season would be answered by the end of the last episode of the season, but nope.
I agree.
Yep.
But no, it really doesn't help. If anything, it gets worse.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this memory that in a future episode they say he was dead for a couple hours. We'll see if that's actually true. Clearly they didn't say that here. They just showed them like sitting around. It could have been like 15 minutes. Like I don't really
Yeah.
know based on the episode how long it was supposed to be. But I feel like there's
I
like
think you're
maybe in the
right.
next one or
It
something.
did seem like it was quite a bit of time had passed.
Yeah. Yeah, but then like Miles doesn't get anything. So does that indicate that he's not dead? He's just like breathing really slowly here. Like they can't tell. Like, I don't know what we're supposed to think about that.
I don't know why it's so confusing. I don't
There's
know
no
why.
reason why it needs to
I
be.
don't know what point is made by how Saeed returns and the mechanism by which he returns. It all rests on this weird thing, and I don't know why the show is focusing on his resurrection in a way that would seem to allude to some bigger point the show is trying to make, but
Yeah.
is never ever satisfied. I don't really
Yeah, there's no
understand
follow up to that.
why all of a sudden the story with these people with the losses of the temple becomes about Saeed resurrected, and I don't know what that means. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
super
that's the
weird.
big cliffhanger for the first episode. Like, oh my god, like what's going on? And it's like,
And and it's like with the temple water being changed, you really can't apply
yeah,
the mechanism to Ben and Saeed because you go, well,
true.
okay, is like Saeed was bad and he goes into the water and he comes back out and he's still bad? Or
Mm-hmm.
is he not bad anymore? But it should have been different because when Ben goes in the water, he comes out, he's healed,
Right.
but he's bad.
On the other hand,
But that's
Richard
when
did
it was
say
working.
when they brought Ben, like Richard did say, he'll lose his innocence and he'll
Mm-hmm.
never be the same. So like there was like a vague illusion that like
Mm-hmm.
somehow the temple water might, I don't know, like have some kind of corrupting effect. I guess is the word I'm looking for. But it was working normally then. So yeah, you can't really compare, but.
So it's almost like when Jacob's alive, and we've talked about this before. I have memories now. But like Jacob's
Oh,
alive, he's what's powering the water. So
right.
the
Yeah,
water
yeah, yeah.
always heals,
Yeah.
except for when Dogan tried it.
Right.
And so when Ben goes in the water, he's healed. When Satan goes to the water, he's healed. But the difference is what? When Jacob's powering the water, what's different?
It's like yeah. I don't know. It is like it still healed him, but it also corrupted him somehow.
See, what
Uh
I'm trying to think about it from like the writer's point of view of it being ultra simplistic, right? Of
mhm.
like A is this thing and B is this thing, and the difference is when Jacob is alive.
Right.
But the variables that we have between Ben and Saeed don't line up.
Yeah.
It should be
Right.
like, oh, when Jacob's alive, you go in the water, you get healed, but then you're aligned with Jacob, like you're on the good side or something. But then
Mhm.
if Jacob's dead, you go in the water, you still get healed, but now you're aligned with Man in Black. Like that's
Right.
how it should be, but that's not the
Yeah.
Ben story.
That's true.
So then,
Yeah.
then you'd want to say no, it's the opposite. So Ben goes in the water, he's healed, but he's bad. Okay, he loses innocence. Now that Jacob's dead, it's reversed. Saeed goes in the water, he's
Mhm.
healed, but but he's good now.
Yeah.
That's what it should be.
Yeah.
But he's not,
That's not
right?
what
So
happens. Yeah.
yeah.
Or is it
Yeah,
really
it's
just about
really
choices after all? Like, yeah, no, I agree.
it's
I
about
agree.
choices.
It's like and the Ben stuff was just from last season, so it's not like when they're talking about stuff from season one or whatever, where it's like,
Hmm.
okay, lots
Yeah,
happened
and
since then, blah blah
uh,
blah.
why even make the water? Why even change the water? Why not say the water is just a healing thing from the spring, from the water under the island and the light, right? And the electromagnetism. And it just is an ever present healing thing, separated from Jacob, right? It's about the properties of the island, right?
Right.
And that's why it has its thing. So when Jacob dies, it doesn't need to change the color. See, that's what's so weird is like
Yeah.
they make it change, and therefore you think, and then you say it doesn't heal anymore. They set
Right.
up this whole thing, and it's a kind of a Lindelof shuffle where they do a
Yeah.
lot of work convincing us it doesn't heal, and then Saeed becomes resurrected, which should tell
Yeah.
us, okay, if I'm putting on my Lindelof hat, then the truth should be it did not heal him.
Right.
It did not work. This is it
Yeah.
broken. We know what it's like before. This is it broken. It didn't
Yeah.
work. They said he's dead. He got, now why Miles got nothing from it is now is an extra point. That's really weird. But unless he should
Right.
say, I don't know, I don't want to get on that tangent. But I was thinking maybe he should be like, instead of nothing, it's that Saeed was unconscious, therefore he didn't have any last thoughts. Like that maybe should be the
Oh,
point.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they could have
and
said that.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that's what they mean is because
That
he's
would have been
unconscious,
clearer.
and it's just this
Yeah.
weird loophole with his power that if somebody dies unconscious, then
Right.
they don't
He
get
doesn't get
last
to read
thoughts.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so
Yeah.
then it should be okay. No, Saeed is really dead, and then the final answer is like we were saying earlier, Saeed is resurrected by a different way, which is Man in
Yeah.
Black.
Right.
Now we're saying that Man in Black can resurrect the dead,
Which is crazy.
which
It's
is
fucking crazy.
crazy.
You think he would admit that he could do that? Like, I
Yeah.
doubt it.
If you think I can resurrect the dead, don't you think I'd be resurrecting more dead people than this?
It's weird that he can look like dead people and resurrect them. Like,
Well,
that's
and
just
it's weird that like you
bizarre.
would think Locke should be resurrected. Maybe it's been too long, right? He's been
Right.
involved, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
but like it begs the question of would other
Right.
people,
If you can resurrect them and claim them, then
and
isn't
now it
that
goes
better in
back
a way?
to maybe this is getting close to something, right? Because now it goes back to this idea I was saying about Man in Black preventing you from going to the afterlife. So this is
Hmm.
a version of that where like he's
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of preventing you from
That's true.
dying.
Yeah.
And so now I want to connect it to so that connects to the Flash sideways. I want to connect it to the ghosts who are stuck on the island. So maybe we want to say like Man in Black somehow is preventing them from leaving in a way, and so that becomes this like range of his powers that he can sort of prevent you. He's got like mastery over death, which would be cool because he went
Hmm.
into a light cave, which is life
Yep.
and death and
Yep.
everything in
Yep.
between, right?
Yep.
So now he's got this control over death powers. He's like a necromancer, basically.
Right, right. Yeah, okay. See, you say all that and it sounds cool and exciting, but it's like, but he never really uses that power or even acknowledges that he has the power. Like,
Yeah.
the only reason why I'm tempted, literally, the only reason why I would ever say the Man in Black brought Saeed back is because Saeed says that later,
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Well,
like,
what does he know?
of course, he could just be wrong, but it's like, why do you think that? And the fact that you think that makes me think it might be true. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because it's
Mm-hmm.
like, why would you even say that? He wasn't anywhere near there. Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. Like, why?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It makes me think like there was an off-screen conversation or something. It's like, but they really should show
Mm-hmm.
that to us. Why do you think I brought you back, Saeed? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand why they write it this way.
Well, it's
It's
almost like Man in Black. We've
unnecessarily
said this
bad.
before. Like he doesn't know what his powers are, so he can't
Right.
claim them.
He didn't even know that he did it.
He
Like,
didn't know
that's
he could do that. That wasn't a thing he was trying to do, and it just
like he's
and in a
over
way, it's
lecturing the
super
others.
interesting.
Like, I'm
It's kind
very
of like
disappointed in all of you. And
it's kind of like
also
Yeah, it's kind of like when Superman, when he becomes Superman, he has to learn what his powers are, and there's times when he doesn't even know what his powers are, right? He has to sort of discover them, and so it's almost like he's like, I just wish that was a real thing on the show where he
It
was
does feel like
discovering
that
them
should
over
be a
time.
thing, but it's been like 2000
I
years. Like you
agree.
would think he would
I
have figured his powers out by now.
Yeah, well, yes, but also yeah, the show doesn't really have. They're not telling that story, but
No.
like, but
That
like
would be in my loophole episode if I ever did.
yeah. Yeah, that would be super. Like the first time he realized he could do telekinesis, right? The
Exactly.
first
Yeah.
time he realized he could claim people, or the first
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
that would be super cool and interesting.
It's like you can keep me here, Jacob, but I can do things too, and
Like it'd
I
be like
will figure out a way to use it.
he kills Mother, but then like Mother comes back
Mhm.
because he's
Yeah.
got his powers or
Oh
something.
God.
Um, yeah,
Just
it's
to
so
die
weird.
twice.
He's good at that touch. Um, it's so weird how the show gets so close to really cool storylines. I think this idea of basically he's a necromancer.
Yeah, seriously, when you say that out loud, it sounds ridiculous, but it's like
Mhm.
that is the implication of what they say.
Yeah.
So
He can
it's
look like dead people. He can bring people back from the dead. He can stop your soul from going to the afterlife. Like
yeah,
that's crazy power and really interesting stuff. But it all
definitely.
works because he was exposed to this connection of life and death and everything in
Yeah,
between.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, so
It
like
makes
we're
sense.
yeah, exactly. And so like that's a cool origin story for a villain that their brother, this Cain and Abel thing, he gets sort of murdered in this weird way next
Yeah,
to this
yeah.
like
It's like a
crazy
comic book
magic.
meets the Bible kind of thing.
Exactly. The Bible was the first comic book, clearly. uh I never realized that, but it's like the best graphic novel in history. The characters in the worlds that created are really fantastical. It's great stuff. I recommend it. Um, but yeah, I think yeah, it is. It's totally like that. Yeah, it's like this like biblical comic book thing, and because yeah, the island's like the Garden of Eden, right?
Yeah,
And
clearly. They
yeah,
directly allude to that.
Jacob, Jesus, we get it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's so close to being like, I mean, maybe that I'll go write it or something, but it's such a cool idea of like
Yeah.
an alternative way where you can like, how could we get someone who's got these interesting powers, and here's an interesting way where you could get a character like that, but it'd be so cool if he knew what his powers were.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really important. Like, name me a villain in history who doesn't know what their powers are.
Yeah, yeah, that's very strange.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking about comparing it to Dr. Manhattan, and I did feel I mentioned it in that episode that when they showed Dr. Manhattan, I did feel like they drew away a little bit from really showing him using his powers.
Mm-hmm.
Like they did show it, but
Yeah.
I felt like compared to the movie, for example,
I think
like
they showed
there
it as
was
little as possible.
yeah, exactly. It feels like there's a like a reluctance to just like show like a powerful character just using their powers like
Mm-hmm.
full on. You know what I mean? It just seems like they really draw away from that with the smoke monster, except for the smoke monster form. Like
And
that's allowed.
yeah, and I was gonna say, even on Watchmen with Doctor Manhattan, they show him using his powers is when it doesn't affect the main plot. Like when it's
True.
him creating the world on Europa is probably the heights of his power
Yeah.
creation, and like
Yeah.
that's a separate world and a separate thing, and
Right.
it's not him like solving plot issues on the real world in
Yeah,
the real
yeah.
world, just using his
Yeah.
powers.
Even when he uses powers, like at the end there before he gets captured, like it didn't even really matter.
It was all in service of it not changing the plot.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like this has to happen, blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I just think that's kind of strange. Like, I don't know, when I think about, I don't know, like Lord of the Rings or
Mm-hmm.
maybe some story where you have like, a big bad character who has supernatural powers I just feel like you get exposed to like a big range of those powers, and they're
Hmm.
sort of shown explicitly using them, and I just, yeah, it just, it's a weird impulse to me to be like, yes, he has all these powers, we will allude to it, we will suggest it, but we really don't want to show it that much, and we also don't even want the character to acknowledge that he can do those
You
things.
know,
So
it's almost
strange.
like, yeah, it's almost like there should have been a moment where it's almost like he shouldn't even know he's a smoke monster, you know, in
Hmm.
terms of what he looks like. It's almost like he should know that he can exert himself in a fantastical way. But like he would, if somebody said like you just turned into a smoke monster, he'd be like, "Wait, what?"
Hmm.
Like he, you know what I mean? Like it's almost like he shouldn't. If they're gonna make him so not aware of his powers, they should go one step further and say that like he knows that he can do what he can do as far as changing into the smoke monster, but like
Yeah.
he's not aware what that looks like from an outside perspective, right?
Hmm.
um that, you know, I feel like that should be true because
Yeah.
why would he know he looks like a smoke monster, right?
Right.
Did
Yeah,
he
yeah.
change the smoke monster and look at a mirror or
He'd have to look
something,
in a mirror. Yeah.
you know, or
Yeah.
a lake or something? So it's almost like
Yeah.
he's self-aware enough to know he can be a smoke monster, but not enough to know about the other stuff, and
Right.
which is, but yeah, I think um yeah, I really wish they would have gone one step further. But you're right. I think it's just a weird thing where they, I guess, they want to make it accessible and not too fantasy.
I guess so. Yeah. I guess that's the impulse, like not to fully commit to making it like a show
Hmm.
about like powers and
Wizards
stuff
and
like that.
necromancers
Yeah.
and yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's like, but you're walking right up to that line. I
Hmm.
mean, what just happened? You asked the question. You
Yeah.
didn't, I didn't make you ask that question.
Hmm.
So it's just like, why write it like that? I don't know. It's just, it's weird to me. It's weird. I feel like they should draw back on the powers that they show if they're not gonna like commit to making them a part of the story. You
Yeah.
know? It just seems disappointing, and like I feel unfulfilled when there's allusions to all these powers and abilities but no actual consequence,
Hmm.
or at least not like explicit consequence.
Yeah.
It's all like, well, we can infer maybe that he did that, I guess. uh that's I I know like we can't know everything, but like I just feel like the basic question of like, did the bad guy do thing or not should
Yeah.
be answerable.
Answerable. Yeah.
I mean, there's like, yeah, I don't know. There's still room for mystery in that world. It's just bizarre. I don't know to be. I feel like it made more sense to be in that mode before he's revealed. Before we even
Yeah.
know like what the smoke monster
Yeah,
is
and
and
once everybody knows who he is, that's when the veil should come off and his powers are really
exactly.
unleashed. And now he doesn't have to hide back or take anything back, and he should be able to go full throttle on
And yet it
everything.
seems like he does less
He does
when he's
less.
revealed than he did before.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is there another deleted line? Like, oh, he can't invade dreams anymore, like
Mm-hmm.
since Jacob died, or like, I
Yeah.
don't know, like he loses some stuff because I don't know. The cave protection protector dies, and the protection get, I don't know. I can't, it makes no sense to me why that would be true,
Mm-hmm.
except for practical reasons, which is like, about like special effects budget and using the actor Terry O'Quinn, and like all stuff that doesn't really like connect to the story per se.
Yeah. It the fact that the whole thing with, yeah, and again back to necromancer thing, like they make such a big point of this with Saeed this season. It's
Yeah.
a big cliffhanger. It's him, coming back, and it's like, why? And I know the theme is here, right? Life and death, and this whole like
Yeah.
the Flash sideways is there's afterlife, and it's a secret, and we don't know that yet. And I feel like that's the point. Like why are they telling us this story about Saeed returning from the dead? Like why
Hmm.
is that the thing they want to focus on? Is that a
Yeah.
hint?
Yeah. Yeah. A hint
A hint about the
about
Flash
the
sideways or
Flash Sideways.
something?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, wait, how?
I don't know how. That's
Okay.
what I'm saying. Is it a hint? Figure out
Okay.
how it's a hint, and if you can figure it out, it's a hint.
Like, to me, the only thing that felt like a hint about the Flash Sideways was when Said starts speculating about the afterlife, like where he's going to go, where do you think you're going to go if I go somewhere? I don't
Hmm.
think it'll be, just the idea of like,
And that comes back with Locke saying, "We don't know where your dad is, where
yeah,
he's gone." Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's like a thematic allusion to the Flash Sideways. But that's not even, I mean, that's connected with the fact that he's dying. So I guess, okay, just to spin out the possibilities, like here's some other possibilities. One, he dies right here. They could have done that. Number two, he is healed by the fucking water
Hmm.
like it's
Hmm.
supposed to work. We've never seen it work. We just heard that it worked with
Yep.
Ben, but we've
Yep.
never seen it work, and we never will see it work.
This is the showing it broken for the first time.
Showing it broken, exactly.
Writing
Yeah, so
technique.
they really want to do that. They don't like showing it working the
No.
first time. It has to
Hmm.
be like messed up somehow.
Yep.
So like those are things they could have done. Now I see why they don't want, like, okay, they are with from last season they're stuck with the fact that he's been shot, he's in critical condition, right? Now, a third option would be he's not actually going to die from his bullet wounds. Like
Hmm.
people have been shot on the show before and not died, and
Yep.
like they just get a bandage and like
But
whatever, it's fine.
Jack says, "Hey, even if I can take the bullet out, I can't stop the
Right,
bleeding, so he's
right,
gonna
right.
die."
So they write it that he's gonna die,
Yep.
but they could have lightened up on that if they didn't want to make a specific point out of it. So it's like, okay, you chose
So
to go down the road.
I have a theory.
Okay, go for it.
I mean, not to interrupt your flow, but
No, no,
I'm
no.
just,
I'm just trying to like talk through the parts. It's
I,
go
I'm
for it.
wondering, is it as simple as Jacob wanted Saeed to stay alive because Saeed's a candidate?
Well, yeah. I mean, I do think that's part of it, but I guess here's the thing I don't get that though about that is that there are many candidates, right? And like a
Hmm.
lot of them have died. So like to
But
me it would
he
be
couldn't. He couldn't. Yeah, he can't stop Bomb dying. I mean, come on, he's just one Jacob. I mean, I just
no, but
is that an
here's the
answer?
thing. Like the note supposedly says if he dies, then we're in a lot of trouble. I think that's the word they use.
Hmm.
Something like that. So like
Yeah, because like candidates are dying, and we can't
but
afford
there's
to lose
like
any
several
more.
more available. Like, is it really? I
But
mean,
maybe anyone who was about to die, he would have said that to,
maybe,
which is
maybe.
bad, right?
But it just seems, yeah, it just seems like not really. I don't know. I know they're like slow playing the reveal about the candidates, and they haven't told us
Okay, well
yet.
then let's play it
So
out. So, okay, Saeed dies. What's the worst that can happen? So, in some sense, Man in Black could impersonate Saeed. That's one thing that could have
yeah,
possibly happened, right?
yeah.
How is that bad? No
Though
clue.
they're gonna write in the he can't look like
Of
anybody else
course.
now.
Yeah.
So
So that's
yeah,
not really kind of
they
there,
would
but
have
that's
to
a
change that. But yeah, I
yeah.
see what you're saying.
Yeah. So okay, doesn't seem like that bad of a thing.
No,
I don't know what could he do as Saeed? Like nothing, right? Okay. So
not
what?
much that he couldn't do in
Yeah. Okay.
other
So
forms.
what's the next bad thing that would happen if Saeed? So if Saeed's dead, then what?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're on the right track that it's like one fewer candidate. And I feel like it would make more sense if it's like we have to protect as many of you as we can.
Mm-hmm.
We got to try to save Saeed if we can, but just the way they phrased it made it seem like Saeed's more important than
But
I
what
think
if
he
the
really
letter
is.
said? What if the letters? Okay, they asked for everybody's names, which means their names are on the letter, right?
Right, right, right.
Okay, so what if the letter said, if any of these people die, we're in bad trouble?
Yeah, maybe that's what it said, and it's just because he's the one who might die, like, right now.
Yeah,
It's like, that's where the urgency is. Yeah,
yeah.
okay. I could buy that. I could buy
Like we
that.
have to save him. Just like if we had shot you all,
Right,
then we'd have to really save all you guys from stop all you guys from dying.
right,
Because like if anybody dies, like maybe that's what the letter says, and it's
right,
not specific to
right.
Saeed. Although, but what makes it seem extra specific to Saeed is Jacob telling Hurley to take him
He
there.
specifically intervenes to try to get, yeah, that's true. That's
But
true.
maybe that's just
Whereas he normally
accurate.
doesn't do that. Like,
Yeah.
people have died. Juliet just died, there's no attempt to intervene or have her taken to the temple or anything like
Is
that.
there anything that Saeed does after he's resurrected that is integral to Man in Black being stopped?
Well, I would say the two biggest things he does is he lets Desmond out of the well, and he takes the bomb on the submarine and like runs away, gives him a chance to escape.
Okay. But Jacob
Those, I
can't see
think,
the future.
can't he?
Can he?
I feel like he can sometimes, but it's just like the Man in Black's powers, where it's like he can see the future when it's convenient, and other times not. So yeah, I feel like in general I would say no, but I do feel like there are a few times where it does seem like he can see the future, or at least has an ability to correctly predict what might happen.
So, okay, taking the bomb away I think is good. I guess it would have to be about the candidates. So he saves Desmond, that
Yeah.
helps, right? With
Yeah,
something?
Desmond plays a big role in the final end
Mm-hmm.
game, so clearly that's a thing. You could even connect that to the afterlife stuff if you wanted, although I think that was after the afterlife stuff, so maybe that didn't have any impact at all. I remember
Yeah.
Desmond is like, he gets all confused, like, oh, I'm gonna go down that cave and then I'm gonna go back to the afterlife. Totally, it's gonna be great. He like has no idea like what's going on. It's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Oh man.
But yeah, he pulls the thing out, so like that's an integral thing. And obviously, like the bomb was supposed to kill all the candidates, so
Mm-hmm.
Said running with it, did save some of them. So I guess like if Jacob's really thinking that far ahead, you could give him credit for that. It is not clear that he deserves credit for that.
But he didn't see Man in Black coming, right? So it's like he can see
Didn't
the
he?
future, but did he? But he didn't see his own death, right?
Didn't he?
Did he? I don't know. He said, "I see you found your loophole," as if he's surprised that he found it. Or did
Yeah.
he?
Or did he? Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, I feel like there is some indication that he knew like stuff was going down, but I do think like maybe you're right that he didn't specifically like envision or pre-vision or whatever everything that actually happens. Maybe it was just a matter of he knew like something was in the works,
Mm-hmm.
and so he made all these provisions. um I feel like the big things that uh the two big moments that feel like seeing the future to me are which like the first one doesn't apply. Well, okay, anyway, when he's there when Locke falls out of the building,
Yeah, that's right.
which like we talked about that, like he could have just been waiting for Locke and didn't expect him to fall, but then the way he reacts suggests to me that he knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
But again, there's plausible deniability, so I can't prove for sure. The other thing would be they're coming, which may not be related to predicting the future. Maybe that's just the fact that he has like a connection to the candidate, so he can like sense where they are, like the same way he
Mm-hmm.
knew like what happened to Jin when he's time traveling, even though he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like he can just like sense what's going on with them. I don't know.
But he
Why does he have the
can't
lighthouse
really.
then?
Yeah,
I don't know.
he can't
Yeah,
sense what's going on with
yeah.
him.
Don't even just stop.
No, no, he can't. Why? So why does he know what happened to Jen?
Yeah, that's a question I have. I forgot about that. I forgot that he's just like, yeah, remember that place like that one time while you were time traveling? Like, what? You knew about that? Seriously? Where were you? What were you doing that whole time?
Wow. Why would he know that?
It seems connected to their coming to me. I feel like however he knows one, he knows the other. Maybe he like has like maybe the lighthouse can like okay, never mind. I don't even I yeah. I don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
He can kind of see the future sometimes a little bit.
A little bit.
And sometimes the future means the past if people are time traveling.
Yeah, I mean, we're still not clear in his central ability to make people come to the island, the whole
Yeah,
touching
yeah,
them
they don't
thing,
define
and
that very
yeah,
clearly. It's some
yeah.
kind of yeah, vague connection. But yeah, maybe that's the thing. Like he monitors them at the lighthouse, then he visits them and touches them, and then he can
Maybe with
sense.
electromagnetism on the island, which is like the source of power, maybe when he touches them, it like aligns them magnetically towards the island, and that's the sort of supernatural pull that gets them towards the island is like
Oh my god.
electromagnetism based.
Oh my god. Wow.
He's like positively charged, and so like when he touches them, they become like positively charged, and that's what the like alignment is that'll get them there.
Wow.
Hey, 10 years later, we're still coming up with the
That's
ideas.
yeah, that's a nice like sci-fi oriented answer to what seems like magic. Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
like that. I like that. I think if you want to tell like if you want to tell like sci-fi lost, like
yeah,
that's definitely the
I
way to
always
go.
do.
I remember
Uh,
Alien Spaceship.
Alien spaceship. Jacob's the warden. Man in Black's the prisoner.
Right.
Come
Oh wow,
on.
that's actually really similar to the Watchmen thing. The whole like Europa like
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Yep.
mean, not with what it ended up being, but what it seemed to be, you
What it
know?
seemed to be. Always better than what it ended up being.
Yeah, yeah. I almost feel like there's a connection there of like, I made a prison
Yep.
for myself, and all I needed to do was decide I want to leave. And he just like did it, you know? Like it's like if Man in Black could have, he could have just been like, you know what? Maybe the rules don't matter. How about if
I
I just get on a boat
yeah,
and leave?
I think that should be it. I think that's yeah, I think it does feel like someone at the end of the show should have been like, you could have left anytime.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I feel like that would have maybe drawn it together a little better. Because on the other hand, like the tension in the story, like feels like it requires me to believe in the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, like it just feels like we're arguing about nothing the whole time. And that's
Yeah.
just like a bit frustrating. On the other hand, like I don't think Lindelof is above that, like making like the thing everyone cares about like doesn't really exist. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's definitely possible. But I do wish they had at least alluded to that idea if
Yeah.
they were gonna. There is that deleted scene uh with Claire where she says something like, why don't you just break the rules? And then he does this, yeah, I think if I could do that, I would still be here.
Yes.
Which is his answer to everything.
Yeah,
But I think
wow.
that is the closest they came. And I guess the corresponding line, Sawyer's line of like, can you fly, why don't
Yeah.
you just like fly over the water,
Float over the water, yeah.
you know? Which is like, I don't know why you can't do that, but
Yeah.
okay.
Didn't I make a crackpot joke about that outrigger loop thing that was never really answered on who was on the outrigger shooting, and it was like Man in Black. He turned into an outrigger.
Yes,
He
I
just morphed
do.
into an outrigger.
I love that because actually, I was just thinking that in terms of wait, what was your question? Your question was about the loophole, right? And I don't think that outrigger has anything to do with the loophole, but
Not the loop, but I mean just that weird loop of the time of
yeah, in terms of
how.
the timeline, like I
Yeah.
think that is the latest thing that we still haven't seen yet, and of course we'll never see
Mm-hmm.
because they cut it out for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. That I remember them saying like they thought it was clunky. I bet it was clunky. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's for the best, but it is like it is too bad that they put in a cool mystery and then like couldn't find a way to work it in.
Yeah.
But it's hard to plan everything, I guess.
Is that a quote from Jacob or Man in Black or
Both. It's
yeah?
the one thing we can agree on.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to plan everything.
Plans are hard.
All right. Well, I mean, as an episode goes, it was really interesting. It's setting up a lot of stuff, and
There
it's
were a lot of intriguing mysteries that I know the answers or lack thereof to, but I
yeah,
think as an episode itself, there's a lot there.
yeah. It
Definitely.
plays really well coming off of season 5, and you're really trying to piece together what's happening. It is an exercise for your brain, right? It's an interesting storytelling style where you're really doing a lot of work mentally trying
Yeah,
to figure out
yeah.
like what am I
Yeah.
watching?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, totally. And I think that is I guess The Watchmen was like that too for a while,
Mm-hmm.
with all the Jeremy Irons stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's a smaller scale version of that idea, but I do feel like there's a link there of like
Mm-hmm.
plunging you into this like I'm just going to tell these two parallel stories and
Yeah.
not really tell you what you're supposed to think about how they're related.
And they have a whole thing too where the how they're related is the term is partly related to their time relationship,
Yeah.
and that's part of the mystery is
Yeah.
the order of events, kind of thing. So
Yeah. And definitely like they're ratcheting it up the intrigue with it worked.
God, yeah, it was bad enough, and then we get it worked.
Yeah, yeah, because her first reaction is it didn't work,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like something changed, and I remember like going over that like what happened, what changed, why did she
Mm-hmm.
say it worked, and it's like it's like, oh, she's like dying and she like has a vision, oh boy. That's
Yeah.
not that is not what I was thinking at all. But I do feel like they played fair in the sense that they allude to the afterlife multiple times and you're right, it's buried in so much other stuff that it's really easy to miss that
Mm-hmm.
that's a thematic element that maybe matters a lot in terms of where
Yeah.
they're going with this season.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the kind of thing on a rewatch that really stands out.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like in future Lindelof shows, because I already failed with Watchmen, the next one I got to make sure to pay attention to those like weird, like not seeming non sequiturs at the beginning of
Yeah.
seasons, because like he loves putting in things that lay the groundwork for where the story's going.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, that's clearly a
Yeah, look for
pattern.
those declarative statements that seem like
Yeah,
really, oh, that's just the way. Okay, cool. He can't look like humans. Cool, got it. And it's like,
yeah.
no, that's not a
Yeah,
thing.
that's not the point.
Mm-hmm.
You should definitely doubt that. And yeah, even he knows that's not true
Yeah.
when he says that. That's yeah, yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll be back with the next episode. So
We
that's how
will.
this series works.
Yeah, yeah. Can't
We
wait.
do
Diving
all the
in.
episodes.
doing the we're not gonna skip one this time.
No. Yeah, season 6 off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, I think it's fine so far. You
Mhm.
know, obviously we can complain all day about where storylines go, but as an episode compared to like some of the shit from season 5, it wasn't bad.
Mhm.
Wasn't
Yeah,
bad.
I agree. It feels like it's starting stronger.
Yeah.
Um, man, I'm so confused why Saeed coming back is. I mean, like, why is that a part of the plot at all? I don't understand.
I know they really could have dodged that completely.
Hmm.
I, someday when we get him on the podcast,
But
we can
wasn't there a whole thing about? There was a whole thing, the run of the show, right, about the zombie season, right?
yes,
So
yes,
then it
yes.
seems like,
And they even say that, I think Hurley or something is like, "Are
yeah,
you a zombie now, dude?"
yep, yep. George Romero, man.
Oh man, Hurley would love Stranger Things.
He would totally love Stranger Things.
That's like a show made for
Oh
Hurley.
wow, he would be the biggest Stranger Things fan.
Yeah, it's weird. That didn't hit me until just now, but the Romero thing, I'm like, oh yeah, he would love that shit.
Yeah.
It's like alluding to everything he loves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a show made for Hurleys. So if you like Stranger Things, you're a Hurley.
You're a Hurley type.
Yep. Yep. Sorry.
No offense.
Congratulations and condolences. But hey,
Good
he's
for
the luckiest.
you.
He's the
And
luckiest man in the world.
exactly. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to not be that, right?
All right. Thanks for listening. Until next time. Thanks and namaste.
Namaste and good luck.